level up, never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Level up, tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Never lose, should've had better luck. I'ma wake 'em up from a slumber. Money ain't nothing but a thing, and the level ain't nothing but a number. Life ain't nothing but a game. Level up, never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. I wanna ball. Waking up meant that he gave me a chance and I'm rolling the dice. I do it all. Living like I'm trying to go for the platinum trophy in life. Who can you call? Really nobody, so you should just follow me on your device. And know if she chilling with me, then it's bound to be chemical X and the sugar and spice. Game in the system, but game is the hobby. I'm probably cocky, but hot as wasabi. I mean, if it's beef, then you know where to find me. My focus is ready and so is my body. You should be running and telling your posse and what's in the speakers and what's in your potty. And she trying to kick it, but this ain't karate. Just keep that shit down while I'm watching Tsunami. I ain't saying I'm a super nerd, but I told you when we got involved, my idea of a perfect date is a PlayStation and some alcohol. I was role playing on GTA. I'm a good guy, but I got it all. If the world should end, be the first to leave, but the last of us acting naughty, dog. Level up, never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Level up, tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Never lose, should've had better luck. I'ma wake 'em up from a slumber. Money ain't nothing but a thing, and the level ain't nothing but a number. Life ain't nothing but a game. Level up, never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough.
What's going on, people? Fame Entertainment here from LevelOnGaming.com. And congratulations, you guys are leveled up to 151. This is the Double XP podcast. Shout out to my sister from another mister. We do have a new format tonight, as you guys no longer have to deal with boxes because my team are nothing more than box destroyers, and take that as you will. We got a big pound tonight. We're going longer than usual. We're going long tonight. We're going extended. You don't need to go to a gas station to get no pills for this. We're going for a little while tonight, y'all. We're going to have some fun. We're going to get the ball rolling. So the introductions. Yo, chill, bro. Let me do my thing, bro. Bamber J67, what's going on, Chief?
President accounted for. Hi, hey guys. What's up? Marketing always available right there. Your stuff can be here on this wall for a very reasonable price.
By the way, that is communication director at LevelOnGaming.com. Next up, probably at some point he will be eating his fat ass life away. DALLAZ. Man, what's going on?
Oh, damn.
How do you?
Man, say, you know it's real when you got Fame out here making the hugger jokes early. You know it's going down. And say we got Cognito back. We got Ram back. We didn't scare y'all away. That's crazy. But well, I'm kind of excited. Well, let's get it.
Next up, my right hand, man. Slim Hugger, what's going on, sis?
Not much. What is up, everybody? I'm just here to drop inappropriate memes and entertain you and maybe flirt a little with a guest. I can't tell. But I'm just excited to be here, and I'm excited for our guest. And yeah, let's get into it, y'all.
Listen, next up, I say this every week. You guys know Monday, volume up.
No audio. It's a ping, like a weird ping.
Yeah, it's like a weird ringing.
Okay.
What in the world is that? New overlay issues, right?
Hey, y'all ever
mute
like
the
the
audio.
sound only young people can hear? It sound like that.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Mute the audio, even though there's no audio on the overlay. Just mute it, because sometimes OBS
If I mute it, I'm gonna mute y'all.
does its awful thing.
If I mute it, I'm gonna mute
No.
y'all. Listen, we'll come back to it. Next up, if you guys know, every week I like to talk about our Monday through Saturday shows, and I always say on Sunday we rest because that's the Lord's Day. Lord Cognito, what's going on, Chief?
Fame, what's going on, brother? Time to level up. Got a fantastic panel. My man Rand is in the building, of course, and the legendary L'Oreal here, my man Jeff Grubb, man. Salute him. He's in the fun today. There we see. That's what we live for. That's what we live for, brother.
Good for you.
My man, I appreciate you, Fame. Appreciate the invite. Got Dallas in the building. Barrett, Hugger. This is fam, and it's good to be here. A lot of good topics and stuff to discuss. I cannot wait. I am excited, brother. Thanks for the invite.
No doubt. I'm definitely gonna work on this sound you guys are hearing. But next up, the man with a million, Randolph Thor. What's up, Chief?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for having me on this stacked panel, and I'm sure it's going to be a fun one. There's thing. Last time I was here, it was pretty damn awesome. So I'm sure this one will be just as fun.
Mm-hmm.
Last but not least, probably the most loved and hated man on social media at times. One of the bigger names, obviously, when you see the mustache and you see the hair, you know what time it is. I am super appreciative of this man coming out and spending some time with us. Jeff Grubb, what is going on, boss man?
Not much, man. I'm happy to be here. How's it going?
Hey, it's going good. I'm happy not to deal with as much as you have to deal with on social media on a daily. Like you tweet and it's just like hounds come.
Yeah, at a certain point, it just becomes noise, right? And you just ignore the noise, right? It all fades into the background. Honestly, it's so much at some points that it becomes like this wall, and when it gets that size, it's actually easier to ignore. I found it's not that big a deal. Most of the time, I just turn around and I just go play with my kids and I forget about it, so it's all good.
So if you guys don't know, we've had Cog on here before, we've had Randall here before, but it's the first time I have you on here, Jeff. So I do want to ask you before we get going to the topics today. Just give us a minute and tell us who is Jeff Grubb and how you really got into the gaming industry and some of the things that you are currently doing. Because especially during the times where we know E3 is coming and we got your summer game mess going, you are a big topic for a lot of different podcasts and articles. I mean, you blink and there's an article written about, hey, Jeff Grubb blinked, Xbox is buying Monopoly. Every time. So tell us a little bit about yourself and really how you got into doing this whole gaming journalism thing.
Yeah, man, it's something that how it went. It was I looked around and I liked the people I saw that were doing this job when I was coming up. I was a kid. I liked reading gaming magazines and especially EGM, and the people that were in that magazine were they were cool. They were cool people, and I wanted to be among them. And so at a certain point, I'm like, I did a couple blogs, I did some news writing or whatever. But really, it came down to one of those guys from that website from that magazine broke off, did their own website, and I was like, hey, maybe I can go volunteer with them. That worked out eventually. And when he needed to hire someone, I was there, and it was just a matter of really, it was trying to be among people who are already doing something is a difficult thing, but it's a good goal. But it's never what actually makes it happen. And what made it happen, that was the goal. What made it happen was, as I was coming up, there were other people trying to do the same thing. My coworker Mike Minotti comes from the same place I do. People that enabled me to make my own clique. As I was trying to get in with this other clique, I was making my own, and it worked out so that it gave me a lot of encouragement. It helped me realize that there was other people who felt this way, and it just made me feel very good about trying to do this job, and people that were had my back when things was time to actually go to E3 and someone and talk to someone who's in the same situation I was for the first time. Those people were around me, and at a certain point it shifted from trying to be among the cool people I used to read about and trying to build a cool community of my own of friends and just kind of working alongside them. And it's one of the things I've really realized over the years is that we're almost never competing with other journalists, with other YouTubers, because the more people who are into games, the better it is for everybody. And everyone's kind of got their own taste in how they want to consume this stuff. And chances are, if they're not into you, they'll be into someone else. But having those people not bounce out of games because there's someone like them, someone that does share their taste, is super important. And I think that helps the whole community grow. And when I realized it's I'm not really competing with anybody, it made me feel really good about just continuing to build these relationships and keep me in the gaming. And yeah, it worked out in the end. And really in this last year, it was all just luck. It was just luck. It was just, I was in the right place at the right time, and it worked out well for me.
So are we don't just gloss over the fact that you're displaying that you're Jim Ryan's #1 fan?
No, I mean that's what the sign says. That's what the sign says. I don't put those signs up there. I don't know who does. But yeah.
Listen,
I must have earned it. I must have just earned that position. So yeah. I guess I'll accept that award. Definitely.
I think it's super dope because I never told Cog this, but around the time we started Level 1 Gaming, and it goes back to what you were saying, Jeff, I had someone come up to me and was talking about, oh, you guys see LogNet as competition. I was like, they're my brothers. I don't start Level 1 without Lords of Gaming. Like Dizzy, Dizzy was like super important of having me start the website. So I'm like, that's super important when people realize it's not really a competition. Like
exactly.
Like someone who enjoys, Rand's content don't have to dislike Jeff Grubb's content. There's no competition. Yes. But
hey,
go ahead.
Nobody likes my content. What are you
lies? Listen, Rand.
Most of my content is just like, hey, Jeff Grubb said this on his podcast. Let's talk.
And I love it. So you got one.
There you go.
Now you need a sign that says Jeff Grubb fan.
There you go. Number one Jeff Grubb fan. Make it happen. Listen, Rand, what you don't know is I got people. I make bets with people. Because I'll say something and I'll say, I bet you won't eat a hat. Like, eat a hat because you're wrong. Because I probably heard Randall Thor say, if Rand said it, I'm gonna believe it. So, do you want to eat a hat? Like this game, like the whole PlayStation game's coming to PC. And I try to tell people, hey, this is happening. This is a thing. Yeah. Do you want to eat a hat if you don't think these games are coming?
The Scott Pilgrim thing, you said it was coming back and people were roasting you.
I got killed. I got killed for saying that. Like almost a year and a half before the re-release. And I told people what was going on behind the scenes, and I got killed for that. But it's okay. It's all good. But listen, Jeff.
Sometimes you gotta get killed.
Once again, man, we really appreciate you coming through and rocking with us, man. We're gonna have a heck of a night.
You're looking good.
He did the whole. See,
just give me.
See, I wear this. I wish I had that hair. I need to just shave my head bald.
Oh, the flip.
The flip.
I am thinking about cutting off like an inch because it's starting to get a little bit too much, but we'll see.
And if you cut it, it helps it grow longer and stronger, and then L'Oreal's gonna hit you up.
It's time. Yeah.
The fact that she said longer and stronger, and like everybody that's on the panel held their stuff together, I'm proud of y'all. Typically, that's not the case.
She's just saying facts. Yeah.
I mean, compared to what I might get into later. That's probably tame what I'll say.
Listen, you get one use it wisely. Not
yet.
Listen, Hugger, she really is the face of Level 1 and she runs the show. She's HR, she's everything. So I'm trying to say she gets one but she probably gonna do two out of spite because she loves and hates me.
Because you can't tell me what to
do. This is true. Listen, we're gonna jump into the first topic of the day. As you guys know, we talk a lot about Xbox Game Pass on this podcast. We're not sponsored by Microsoft, but Jesus Christ, it's hard not to talk about Game Pass, I think, for anyone, because it seems like every other week there's news coming up about Game Pass, whether it's a game coming, a price, whatever the case may be. There's something to talk about with Xbox Game Pass. But now, possibly, now nothing is confirmed, but the Sony Polish, which I believe was a Twitter handle or their website, published about the PlayStation Plus video. And then the screenshots we're seeing movies like Venom, Zombieland, Double Tap, Bloodshot, which are all Sony movies. Interesting enough, Sony is no longer doing the movies and TVs on the consoles anymore. So interesting that they may possibly, we don't know if this is true or not, use this as this is how we make our PlayStation Plus look more, or PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Now look better, because Game Pass is making us look terrible at the moment. So I do want to get the panel's thoughts about that. And Jeff, I do want to start with you about the PlayStation Plus video. Yeah. If it is true, we're gonna go hypothetical here because we don't 100% know what you might know, because Jeff knows everything. What this could be for Sony? Will it move the needle at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to look at it as yes, they are competing with Game Pass, and yes, I think this is part, like when people were saying Sony has a response to Game Pass. I think this is one of the things they're talking about, but you kind of have to look at it like these companies also just really want services revenue. They want revenue from things that are not just selling you a product that you play for a week and then put down. And that means, doing the work of like making these services more attractive. PlayStation Plus has been very successful for them. If they want to do like a video thing that sort of, is complementary to that, I think it could be very successful. But yeah, clearly this is them trying to, increase the value proposition of their services. And services are kind of really changed the game for Sony. If you look back at their revenue over years, you would see huge dips to the point where they were losing a lot of money in between transition years from like PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 2 to especially PlayStation 3. They lost a lot of money during those transitions. Right now, they're not losing a lot of money, even though they are in a transition year. And the reason for that is services. They're making a lot of money from selling microtransactions in other games, making a lot of money from PlayStation Plus. And I think they were like, okay, that's where we should be focused because that is so much steadier. It's so much more predictable. And if we can make that video work, it'll be good for us. And then at the same time, it is like, this will help us compete with Game Pass to a certain extent. I don't know if that's their number one focus, but it's definitely part of the conversation. I do wonder, though, is there a chance that gamers are going to see this and be like, oh, man, they're not focused on games? And I'm not too worried about that because clearly Sony's got a lot of big games coming out. And this is not like at the Xbox One launch when they were saying TV 50 times on stage and barely talking about games. And they were talking how they're going to have integration with like NFL playoff games or whatever that no one ever used, like stuff like that. That stuff that was just like really dumb. This is like, yeah, I would use this if it was there, especially if I'm going to get it as part of a PS Plus subscription. I'll watch some movies on there, whatever. Yeah, sure. Sony's got a lot of video and television IP that would go really good on a service like this. So it makes sense. I don't know if it's necessarily going to move the needle in a war directly with Game Pass, but it's something that it's definitely going to it's going to chart. People are going to care about this. That's for sure.
Hey, Rand, is this Sony's TV? I'm seeing that in the comment section. I saw it a lot on Twitter. TV. What do you think, Rand?
I don't think it is. It's just Sony using what they have to sort of bolster their subscription services. I wouldn't be surprised if they even bundle in like anime at some point because they own a good portion of that. My thing, the thing I was kind of curious about was I could have sworn Sony was discontinuing their movies and TV shows on the PlayStation 5. Did I?
Yes, like they are doing that, but they're discontinuing you being able to purchase them.
So you can't purchase them individually, but
they're not going to have a movie and television store because they're doing this. It seems like so they're doing a Netflix thing.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I think it's real. It wouldn't have been up on the PlayStation website if it wasn't. So it's the marketing's been made for it. Whether or not they announce it tomorrow, or what I'm curious to see what you'll get with the movie pass. Are you going to get a free movie and TV rental a month or something as long as you're subscribed or something along those lines? I don't necessarily think it competes that well with Game Pass personally. I think it just is more just like it just adds value to your current PlayStation Plus subscription. I don't really see people subscribing just for a movie pass, but I could be wrong.
But it's like Amazon Prime, right? People get Amazon Prime for the free shipping, and then all of a sudden you got Prime Video. They're doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So, I'm all for getting extra content for what I paid for. I mean, I bought 2 years of PlayStation Plus on CD keys for like $25 each. So I got 2 years for $50. So it's like, hey, it adds more value to a subscription I already have, and maybe I'll check out if there's any interesting movies on there I could just watch for free. I might check it out. And normally I wouldn't. Like, I watch everything or I play everything on my Xbox. Like, if I rent a movie, it's on Xbox. If I watch Netflix, it's on my LG OLED app. This would essentially, if it was like, hey, we're gonna give you a free download of a movie per month, I actually might be like, you know what, I'm already subscribed for 2 years, I might as well take advantage of it. So we'll have to see the implementation of it, but this is what Sony's gonna do. They're gonna be like, hey, we got movies, we got anime, we got games, stir it in a pot. This is what we're gonna go with.
I do want to get your thoughts too as well, Cognito, because we know Sony bought Crunchyroll. We kind of talked about this pre-show a little bit about what happens with the whole VRV thing. But I want to get your thoughts about this PlayStation Plus video. If it is a real thing, like, does this help both? Like, if you weren't subscribed to PlayStation Plus, would this say, all right, now there's my reason to subscribe?
Right. I think the way I look at it is more of a complimentary thing than as opposed to like, okay, this is gamer focused, right? So at the end of the day, a lot of casuals or people who, for example, are invested in their movie ecosystem or their programming ecosystem. I mean, they do have that as a strength that they could leverage to make it more attractive. I think the issue right now is, as gamers, we look at it and we say, okay, we remember the old statement Ryan said, and it's like, we're coming up with a competitor to Game Pass. So as gamers, we roll our eyes like, well, this ain't it. That kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I think it's a bigger picture move. Like Rand and Jeff said, it's one of those things that at the end of the day, it's going to add value. You're not adding an additional cost, hopefully, to it. And I do think, based on this Polish site that got taken down, there's probably some truth to it. This is something they plan on adding to the service. For me personally, I mean, I could see a situation where, like, again, if they leverage something that's under their film and TV production stuff as an exclusive thing and programming, I can see people say, yo, I could watch the new Venom or whatever came out on this service. So it will have some value there, but I'm with Rand. I don't necessarily think this is like moving the needle. It's just a complimentary thing, add additional value to a service. And hopefully there's more that they have planned on the gaming side. That's what interests me, that to see what they do in competition with Game Pass. So that's where I'm at with it. Like, okay.
Would you at any point think, like, we hear rumors of people wanting them to combine PlayStation Now with PlayStation Plus? Would that further help bolster that move? Because PlayStation Now, even though I think PlayStation Now gets more heat than it deserves, completely honest. Like, a lot of people are unaware that you can actually download a lot of those titles. It isn't just streaming anymore. Do you think PS Now being added to it along with this would really help push the service?
It's going to be interesting. I don't know how, based on their revenue stream, like how they're looking at it, because obviously they were first in that space, right? As far as the Gaikai deal and all that stuff. And, they really are the pioneer before Microsoft in reference to that. And then they added the download feature. It's still, to me, they still have not taken it serious enough to make it to the forefront to really be in competition with Game Pass. So I'm very curious. I mean, me personally as a gamer, I would love that, what you're saying, right? Which is added in there. But I don't know if financially it makes sense for them. That's something I would defer to Rand and Jeff on that, as far as, the revenue streams from PlayStation Now. But I do like what they're doing with the Legacy Collection. I think the Legacy Collection is really cool. I think that adds great value. You've got Days Gone up in there. You got a lot of other games in there that, from the past generation, if you didn't play and you're a new PlayStation 5 owner, that's a lot of value. But I agree with you, Fame. They need to do something with PlayStation Now, because they're the pioneer in the space. And it would be a shame to me to just see this. And I think their numbers, I mean, obviously the Game Pass numbers was 23 today. It appears that their numbers are not in comparison to the way Game Pass has just been booming lately. So I would like them to do something with it.
Dallas, up until a week ago, was like a big PlayStation fan. And then he threw his PlayStation in the trash because he got an Xbox. I don't know.
No, sir. I put it in my grill and I melted it. This is what
oh my God. And it's crazy because you hear
like, I played my PlayStation once. This past Friday, playing Little Nightmares. That's it.
You can play that on Game Pass.
Wait a minute, is it still on Game Pass?
Is it?
It's on console, not PC though.
Hey, console Game Pass is the truth. PC Game Pass is whack. Just putting that out there.
I mean,
PC Game Pass is alright.
We have
I was
so
enjoying
many
it.
other things on PC.
I was enjoying.
We don't have to play to pay online. Oof. Can you imagine that?
But
right?
I'll say this though.
Show us on the doll where they touched you.
Game Pass.
Come on, man.
Game Pass was a giant factor in me buying an Xbox. Like super giant, because I was enjoying it on PC. And just like a whole other world opened up on console, right? So something like PlayStation adding PS Now to PS Plus, that would convince me to buy PS5, because right now I don't see a super big reason to. So, from this side, as a consumer, I would need something like that. That's the incentive. Forget the movies. That's just a little. That's a little icing on the cake, maybe cherry on top, for a person that don't really care that much about cherries. But when it comes down to it, like more games at the touch of a button at my fingertips. Like, give me like the Infinity Gauntlet of freaking games. Like, that's what Game Pass is doing. So, like, I have Thanos's already. Like, if you give me Iron Man's, maybe I'll care. Otherwise, I mean, I got Spider-Man on Blu-ray. I don't care.
Listen, watching Jeff trying to keep his composure with these memes is hilarious.
Killing me here.
Watching him try to keep
Jeff,
his
so many
composure is
times.
hilarious.
What
It's
episode
unfair
was
to the
that,
chat. They should
Fame?
be able to see this shit.
Oh, they
killing
can.
Oh, they do.
They see it.
Oh,
Oh,
they
yeah.
can. Oh, good. Oh, yeah, they can. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, God. Oh, that's so good.
I remember the first time we put it up, somebody called us childish, and I'm like, but you still watch the whole
But
show.
you still watch the whole
Yeah.
show.
And that's probably the reason.
Yeah, literally. That was one of the top comments on our last video for the Games Beat the Sides podcast. Is you two are so childish, and I love it. I'm like, yeah, I know you do.
Thank you.
Everyone wants you to be all serious and yeah, like we're in a
No.
Bruh, I'll be
Democrats-
asleep if we're all serious.
bro. Like we like to have fun, but I'm like watching Jeff and like every meme, like he's trying to hold it together.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
When you see the head turn, you know.
Baron Hugger, man, y'all got any thoughts about the PlayStation Plus video?
Baron told me he couldn't wait to watch Venom.
Oh
Again.
yeah, not Venom, the Venom.
The Venom.
You know, that's
Like the
on
Surge.
The Sony Movie Pass. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with adding more value to something that I already have signed up for. Like me, I'm not like you see. I put the glasses on, then I try to get all serious, like I'm not dropping wild memes. And I got a couple more. Oh, see, I see the word Viagra pop up. I got a couple more. See, now we getting reckless. I got one for y'all now. But I'm gonna keep
Stop.
that one on deck. Hey, no, it's all good. But real talk though, it can only be good as long as it doesn't take away like they run into the issue that, like Jeff mentioned, Xbox ran into back in the day. Like, hey, let's just double down on entertainment systems and, you know, give you surround sound and Dolby Digital and movies. Oh, by the way, we might have a game coming out soon. Like, as long as they don't run into that problem, it's only added value to something I am already signed up for. So, you know, it's a positive. It's a win.
You know, if it can save me
just-
money,
Win.
I just hope because you guys know, Canada, a lot of stuff is region locked. So I hope that it's not region locked. I hope it's available everywhere. And we know.
It'll have like region specific libraries for sure. Almost without a doubt. I guess there is reason to be like, okay, it popped up on the Polish website. Like, this is something that's going to start in Europe? Is it easier there for some reason? Jim Ryan just cares about Europe more or something like that. But it's gonna be everywhere. The one weird thing about this is Sony was just signing deals with Netflix for all their movies.
Yes.
And then today they just announced a deal, and I like tried to read through the press release, and I honestly couldn't understand it. It was some deal with Disney and like they're gonna like share stuff or whatever. I so seriously don't understand it. But I'm like, okay, so they're signing all these deals and then also doing their own thing. So how serious is this video pass going to be? Like, is it like it's gonna have Venom, I guess, but are they gonna like make original content? How early are the movies gonna come on there? Is it gonna be like months after it's on Netflix? That would be weird. It does feel like it feels like this is one more thing that they're putting up on the board there, and you know maybe they'll have Sony Music. I think if they find a way to get PS Plus into a subscription, and then if it's like $15 a month or cheaper, this will all feel like, okay, look at all this stuff you get. You won't really think about like, okay, PS Now actually is kind of like a bummer, but it's not the worst. But if you have it as part of this thing for $15, it'll feel fine. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
whose meme is this?
Just not me for the first time. You can't do wrong with giving people more
Wacky
value
Phoenix.
for what they want.
His name is already whacking. That's incredible.
Just averaging it.
The fact that I've never seen this, like that, like how did that make it this far along the internet without me?
And you know what? Let's mark it. It's not me that went out of pocket first tonight.
Oh God.
Lord.
Oh no, good sense went out the window. All my home training went out the window when freaking Viagra in the net came up.
But we know this is probably going to happen. I mean, the Assassin's Creed Valhalla was leaked on, I think it was the Russian or Greek site before it came out. So this is real. I think it's I just want to know what's going to be in it, because they know Canada doesn't have HBO Max. We don't have what was the anime stuff you guys?
Crunchyroll,
whatever?
VRV, Crunchyroll.
VRV. Yeah, we have Crunchyroll. We don't have VRV. It's all region locked. I'm like, okay.
Listen,
you can never do worse with adding something free onto the paid service people are already paying for.
if I can get Crunchyroll for no extra cost on top of, I can.
I want Funimation
I'd be
more
cool
than
with that.
Crunchyroll.
Yeah. That'd be fine.
Save me $10 a month. I got no issues with
Does
that.
Sony own both Crunchyroll and Funimation?
Ooh,
they team up?
yes, I think they bought both,
don't
didn't they? Because
remember.
they bought Funimation first.
I think the Crunchyroll thing hasn't been approved yet.
Okay.
I think
All right.
there's been some talk that maybe the U.S. government may not approve it because then they would have a monopoly on the
That would
anime
be
streaming
so funny
market.
to have the U.S. government intervene to save anime.
I mean, that goes
Joe
against
Biden
the
would have to talk
monopoly
about
laws.
anime. I want to hear it.
I'm down.
Right?
God.
And you know, his staff would be a troll and give him the one, like, they would give him, oh, yeah, Dallas always laughs at me. Queen's Blade. Let me talk about Queen's Blade. Big titty fighting. What?
Jesus Christ.
I want to hear Joe
Man,
Biden
but I give you
say,
this though. They put that
Joe
on.
Joe
Man,
Biden.
that PS Plus, and you got my vote.
Actually, it's the U.S. and Japan that may block it. Like I think both countries are looking at it as potential monopoly. So we'll see if it goes through.
And if U.S. blocks it, Canada says, nah, not today, son.
I know everyone worries about monopolies. I don't care too much about monopolies, bro. Can I still get it? Did the price go
you
up?
have to.
I don't. Just me personally. Is the price the same? Yes. It's the same
As long
content.
as I still pass go
You
and
know
collect my $200.
why-
Thank you.
Have your monopoly.
You know why anti-monopoly laws are great? It stops Tencent from buying every single company that we love. And Tencent has the money to buy every single company we love.
Yeah, I
You
think
remember when people were praying for the European Union to block Bethesda because Microsoft would have a monopoly on Western RPGs?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's from Jeff's favorite website, by the way.
You know, I think Jeff's favorite article of all time was that Jezebel article that came out when the Mortal Kombat trailer released, and they're like, "Where's Chun-Li?"
Oh,
That's
that
his
pissed
favorite
me
article.
off. I remember who wrote
It's
that.
still up.
That pissed me off. I didn't, and I'm be honest. I didn't want to go in there and read it.
It was a joke. It really was a joke, but it was not. It was bad. It was tone deaf. It was not a good
It was
joke.
tone deaf. So tone deaf. It's almost as bad as Volkswagen's April Fool's joke. Like tone deaf. Come on, guys. Volkswagen.
I'm about to look that up. I totally missed that.
Volkswagen changed their names to Volt, like electric car. So people started buying tons of stocks in Volkswagen because thinking they were hopping on the electric car bandwagon hard. And they said, oh, like it's real. And then it turned out to be an April Fool's joke and their stocks like tanked after that.
Yikes.
Listen, I do want to ask a question, and it's specifically to Cognito, and I'm going to specifically go to you because you said it on Twitter, so I'm coming.
Because you looking good over there?
Because we talking about, hey, I'm not going to say that. That's another grown man. I'm not going to say you. You know what? You another good looking black young brother. I ain't say that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Listen, we talking about services. We know Xcloud is out for PC now. And I said this before. I was like, man, I think Xcloud can make your OG Xbox useful again at some point, right? But if you got a chance to use it, Cog, what are your thoughts so far as how Xcloud is on PC?
Yeah, man, I was very pleasantly surprised to get that invite. So I saw the email, I signed up immediately. And yeah, man, so cloud gaming beta on PC, got a chance to mess around with it for about a couple hours. Really impressed. The slew of games initially, I think was the Outriders, MLB The Show was on there, Destiny was on there, Streets of Rage, Outer Worlds, a couple things. So basically, my main thing was, I want to do a hardwired connection just for the basic latency. So I connected my Xbox Elite controller to it. Loading was about pretty fast. I would say like just a couple minutes just before it goes into the animation to get started to the game. The thing I did notice as far as the latency, it was decent. I definitely didn't feel like it was to the point where it was unplayable. Having a full screen, as a person that plays xCloud a lot, because I used to play remotely on a Kishi, like it felt good to have it on my monitor, like to have it PC, full screen, looking good. So that was cool. Two little nitpicks that they gotta have to address.
Spill that tea, boy.
Yeah, the first one is, okay, remember, these are on the Xbox One S server blades.
Yep.
So if you're a Series X person and you're playing on this, remember, this is Outriders 30 at 720, you know what I'm saying, kind of thing. Same thing, Destiny at 30. Right, so we know the eventual plan is for them to upgrade to the Series X server blades. So this is in beta, so obviously that's a pass there. But for people who play every day, that will be noticeable. And I just had like a weird issue with the right and long, I believe, in Outriders. It was actually wasn't latent. It was just overly sensitive. Like my character was like spinning around. I guess it's a good thing. I just got to configure it. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, for a beta, very impressed. You know, the Game Pass library pretty much almost there at your fingertips. I think they got it because I think this is the thing to me that always gave Stadia a leg up, with just that having that
I was just about
access.
to ask that.
Yeah, because again, don't get me wrong. I love being in the doctor's office with Makishi or the DMV or whatever, you know, you got the remote thing with your phone. But again, you're confined to that screen, right? A lot of gamers, that's why the people who did enjoy Stadia love the fact of having that PC functionality, that full screen connectivity. And I think that's the future for them. I think once they keep improving it, they upgrade the blades. And then I think also for another play will be like TV, smart apps, smart TVs, having a Game Pass app there. Again, getting this thing on more screens. But over initial impressions, solid. Still a little bit more work to go, but definitely happy to have it on PC.
Hey, Jeff or Rand, either one of you guys, I'm not cool enough to be able to get invited to stuff like this. I mean, I've tried. Phil Spencer has hooked me up like personally a few times with some stuff, but like I'm not cool enough to get the invite in my email. But Jeff or Rand,
wait, Big Daddy Phil Spencer with his glorious muscles has talked to you, and you haven't bragged about it.
Daddy Phil hooked me up a few times on Twitter DMs, and I'm appreciative.
Please, oh my God, somebody clip that. He called Phil Spencer Daddy.
I only say it because that's what you say. So I'm just Daddy Phil.
I love Phil Spencer. He's Big Daddy Phil to me. He needs a better camera when he does shows, though. But it's Big Daddy Phil.
No, they would give away way too much stuff. They getting ready to buy up. Like this one, you don't have a better camera.
Hey,
blur out the background.
Too bad they didn't get Discord, huh? Because I tried to be in the Xbox Live party chat the other day, and I was like, yeah, I threw the whole headset in the trash. Let's get back on Discord thing. That was nasty. But Jeff or Rand, either one of you guys get to try it on iOS or PC at all? You guys cool enough?
I'm not. I didn't get an invite. I didn't ask for one.
What?
I'm sure. I'm sure. I personally don't really care about streaming, so it's not something I would want like to even really use. So I didn't go out of my way to ask my contacts at Xbox for an invite, because I would rather it to go to people who actually want to test it out. Like I have an iOS and I got Windows 10 PC, but like I don't really care about game streaming on my phone, and I don't really care about streaming it on PC. At least right now, like with Xbox One S blades, when I have my Series X, 50 feet away, hooked up to my, 65-inch OLED, like why would I want to play a worse version of the game on my 27-inch computer monitor?
Bougie Red, not thinking about
saying. No, but here's the thing. I don't want to take up somebody's spot.
I appreciate
what I mean? Like
I respect that.
Somebody might want to like actually use it and provide valuable feedback. If a game's not like, even for review codes, if I'm not interested in the game, I'm not going to ask for one, because it should go to somebody who actually might want to cover it. So that's why I didn't reach out to anybody for an invite. But that's just me. I don't know.
No, it's pretty much the same for me. Mostly it's just like I don't have time right now to test it out. Too many things I'm testing already. I've already had my experience with Game Pass streaming. I know how well it works in certain circumstances. Yeah, trying it on the PC would be, I guess someone's like, hey, do you want one? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then they're like, oh, it doesn't work anymore. I'm like, okay. I like the invite didn't work. Okay, I'm not heartbroken or anything. When I get the chance to check it out, I probably won't even try it out right away. It'll just take some time, just because I got so much other stuff going on. But yeah, it's still, I'm glad they're getting this stuff figured out, getting it out there. I think getting it into browsers with God, I can't remember the name of the company now, but Rainway.
Yeah.
Rainway, yeah. Getting Rainway together and figuring that out, getting it on browsers, getting it on iOS. That's a pretty big deal. Some people have been trying that, and they're reporting it's working pretty well, which is, I guess, surprising to me. But
Jeff,
I'm glad it's working.
Do you think, because Rainway app was on Xbox at one point, and you could play all the different like games from different companies. Do you think when Microsoft started the plan of, okay, Apple's blocking us from iOS, we need to do a web browser, and they went to Rainway, and one of the perks of the partnership was Microsoft's like, we're going to pay you, but get your app off of our console? You think that was kind of a tit for tat there almost?
Yeah, that could have been part of it for sure. Yes, that's. I mean, if they were having those one conversation, it would be very easy to have the other. But also, just Microsoft gets to decide what's on the store no matter what. So they those conversations might not have been connected, and they could just been like, "Get the hell out of here with this," and yet we're still going to pay you for this other business. So it's just as likely that it wasn't connected. But I could see that's how it went down. Yeah, maybe.
That's awesome. Shout out to Rainway and the CEO Andrew Sampson. He's actually going to be on the show here in a few weeks. So I thought it was ironic that you guys brought him up. He'll be on.
I gotta ask him something about the app. I still haven't been able to download it on PC. It gets stuck in the we're loading things up because sometimes you just want to lay in bed all day and boot your laptop up, especially because I have a piece of shit MacBook. And it just, if anybody's tried to game on Apple and Mac, you guys know it's not made for that. So I use Parsec, which is a screen mirroring, and I just mirror my PC. And I've been trying to get Rainway up, and I just can't. I'm like, what'd I do wrong?
Make him do live tech support on the show. That would actually be very fun.
You know what? Yeah. I'm saying, Jeff Grubb told me I'm gonna do live tech support. Walk me through this.
I interviewed him, so tell him. Yeah. I know him, so yeah, definitely do that. He'll appreciate that.
He can be like, Jeff.
I'm like, man, Jeff Grubb told us that you can do this.
Hey, I think he's like a kid, right? He's like 26 or 27. He's like a baby.
Wow,
yeah.
26.
Oh, thank you.
Messed up. I hate it. I hate that he's that young. That's messed up. You shouldn't be that young.
Hugger, are you 26?
I'm a baby. I'll be 28 September 11th.
We live in a society.
I think you are by far the youngest person on this panel. Like
Demi is.
Well, I'm talking about today. Today, I think.
The
rest of us are at least 30 up.
You want to hear something
weird? Maybe
the year I was born, 1993. The year I was born
93.
Was the year that the Twin Towers were first bombed when they drove the vans into the base and tried to bomb it. And then my birthday, September 11th, 2001, is when they brought the towers down.
Wow.
So what you're saying?
And if you fold a $20 bill in the right way, you're actually the one burning it down. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Baron, I want you to remember this part of the podcast because after the podcast, I'm gonna say something to you that you're gonna find hilarious, and I think you know what it is. You'll find it hilarious. I can't say it now. I don't want to get canceled. Some things have to stay off podcast.
Shout outs to the chat. You guys are awesome. If you guys want me to we're gonna read out your guys' questions. Make sure you put a emoji or something next to them, and I'll get to them because you are just going so fast that I can't keep up. I'm slow, y'all. Be gentle with me.
Oh yeah.
I'm old.
Before we move on, do us a big favor. If you guys hit that like button, it helps us out a whole bunch. And be sure to check out our website, level1gaming.com. But I do want to jump on really quick, Baron. We talked about this beforehand, so I want to start with
Pause.
You. Whoa, what did I say? Did I say something sus?
You said you want to jump on Baron. Pause.
I do want to.
You can't be jumping on Baron.
Listen, it is what it is.
Judgment free zone.
This is a judgment-free zone unless you like feet.
You heard it.
Then it's a judgment zone.
Listen, there's a lot of people.
Look, why are you crapping on the feet community?
So now we know Baron likes
because
feet.
y'all weird.
First off, y'all go ahead and walk around with somebody with some dusty, crusty eagle claws. Y'all go ahead if you want to.
Be tic-tacking on the floor.
So, Baron, are we to understand that because we know Baron has an OnlyFans. Is your OnlyFans about feet, though?
Yes. No, but it can be for the right price.
I hate that sentence.
So, Baron,
no, not the eyebrows. No.
You got two capitals.
That makes it so much worse.
So I do want to start with you, Baron, with this because I find it funny that a lot of people are making jokes about this now because I find it hilarious as well. So we got the whole $70 video game versus Xbox Game Pass. More, like MLB The Show, $70 on PlayStation 5 or 4, and quote unquote free. And everyone calls it free. And I guess if you combine all the games you get in Game Pass, I guess you can structure it that way of games being free or Game Pass. But the debate of paying $70 for a video game versus, getting on Game Pass, and we had somebody correct me if I'm wrong, from Sony Bend. God.
Yep.
Yes.
John Grove. Oh man, I'm gonna call him John
Garvin.
Garvin.
So to paraphrase, I don't have the phrase, but basically, if you want the game to succeed, you need to go out and support the game. So regardless if you want a game like Days Gone 2, you should have went out and bought a game. So if the next game comes out, if you no matter what, go out and buy and spend $70. And so that's paraphrase. I could be completely wrong, and I apologize. But now gamers on the Twitterverse are now saying, "Hey, you guys shouldn't be using Game Pass. Go support the developers by spending $70." I want to get your thoughts on this, Baron.
First off, we are consumers, people. We are consumers. We consume. We are spending our money. So if I only want to spend $15 for the month to play the next big release on Xbox, that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be best for my pocket. And then Lord
If you
knows
don't
my
like it, you can consume
backlog,
these nuts.
that part too.
Boyo.
Also things. But no, but it's such a weird it's such a weird thing to manage somebody else's pockets like that.
Pocket?
Yeah, like come on, man. Like look, dude, I gotta feed my family. I'm a full-time worker.
Doesn't it seem, because what you do in your daily, you deal with a lot of numbers. Doesn't it seem almost insensitive for these devs in the middle of a pandemic where, like my dad is a heavy duty mechanic, but because he works in such a industry where contact is mandatory, they aren't hiring. He hasn't worked, and Canada is probably going to be in the lockdown for the rest of the year. So a year and a half about now. Isn't it so insensitive when people aren't making income, say, I want you to pay, because it's not 70 here in Canada, it's 80 or more. Like Balan, I can't remember the name, Balan Wonderworld is $104 here. You can't ask me to support that, but if you ask
immoral.
me, Game Pass, right?
Wow, facts.
I'm sorry. You got me in the heart.
Yo, that came from his heart. You heard that, like.
He's like, oh.
Three digits. That's two. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Two digits too many.
You know what? I'm gonna give you an even. It's 104, but with shipping, it's 120.
My spirit, I can't.
But you, Baron,
I gotta pay
as the number guys, do you think it's almost like I will support a dev, but do you think it's immoral, or not immoral? Because immoral implies you did something shady with somebody in a back alley. But do you think it's irresponsible to ask people that don't have the money, to spend $70, $80 or more?
Well, this is a weird thing because they're speaking from a place of, I'm a developer. This is literally how I make my money. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't want to harp down on them that much because they're talking from a perspective of, we're only talking to the people who plan on buying our game anyway. It's not like it's gas or public transportation, something that's absolutely necessary, you know, coming from the guy sitting here on a gaming podcast. I get what they're saying. It's just poor timing. Like, I could imagine the PR guy is crapping himself. Because
almost as much as that Raiders guy is crapping himself tonight.
Oh yeah, that was ugly. Yeah, whoever ran that Twitter account is not there tomorrow. But it's you can't. It was just out of touch. It was really out of touch and poor timed. They really picked really bad timing to say any of that. Anything to do with, well, you should just pay full price during a time when people ain't got full money. Like, the world literally is not functioning as it used to, in any way, shape, or form. A lot of people are out of work daily. You know, you just described the situation in Canada. You know, longer story short, it was just out of touch. He was speaking from the place purely as a developer. I don't know where his heart was about it, but from the vibe that I got from hearing it and reading it, he was just, you know, he was hurt because
it's like the idea that we're going to support developers by spending money is backwards. I mean, when you make any purchase, is that how you think about anything? Like, you go to the grocery store and you buy some bananas. Are you thinking about, like, okay, I'm going to buy these bananas, I'm going to support the person who, like, you are going to do what's best for you at that time. You're going to find the best deal for you, and that's what you're supposed to do. That's how, I mean, if he wants to, you know, get mad at something, if he wants to sort of criticize something, you criticize the system where we are all supposed to look out for what's best for ourselves. And sometimes that means if you're a poor college kid, you're going to pirate a game or something like that. Like, that's, you know, the system should be a little bit more, just and fair. and not to the point where if you make a gigantic game that is kind of gets mediocre reviews, but like still it turns a profit. It made a profit. Like you should kind of be rewarded for that, right? Like you made someone money, you should be rewarded for that. And instead, it seems like you don't want to work there anymore. The game's not getting a sequel, and that is a byproduct of the system sort of being like you didn't make someone enough money, and now you're going to turn to the gamers and be like you didn't support us, and it's just not our job to support you. That's not how I'm going to find the game at the best price for me, because everywhere I go, that's what I have to deal with. Someone's paying me the least amount they can pay me to do as much work as they can get out of me, and then I got to go to the store and pay the most that someone wants to charge me for something. Like with all these pressures that we have to deal with all the time, to come out and say, in this one instance, you should be thinking about the person making the product. It's like, man, I wish I could do that in every instance. I think that we should maybe be thinking about ways to adjust the system so that we could be doing that for everyone all the time and not have to make it about individual transactions. Because if we leave it this way, people are always going to sort of feel left behind. And we know that. Like we look around to other people who feel left behind in all kinds of walks of life because of the way the system works. And so, yeah, I think out of touch, they definitely didn't mean that way. If I was making a product and I looked around and saw a lot of people either pirating it or saying like, or kind of like dancing around like, oh, I got it for free, I would feel a little bit salty about that. I get that. But at the end of the day, like just coming, like a transaction is not support. It is a transaction, and I'm always going to do what's best for me. And I'm sorry that sometimes is going to leave a game developer out of it. It's the way it is.
Yeah, you know what's so crazy? A lot of games would actually benefit from not putting themselves out there at full price, at the market full price. Like for example, I caught a lot of crap about writing that Outriders should lower the price. $39.99 price tag would have made that game if it didn't go on Game Pass, which in my opinion is a discount.
What do you call it, Barry? The Game Pass stimulus package?
Oh, the Game Pass stimulus. The Game Pass stimulus package. It's like Drake. Like you get a Drake feature and then all of a sudden everybody knows your name. I'm telling you, some games need that because
you guys want to feel extra disgusted though. So let me go back to the chat, and I got a question for our L'Oreal model, Snack Pack, and Rand, the man with the voice, after this. But it was Caper Grant 692. He's also Canadian. So Outriders is free on PC, or not PC. What is that? Console Game Pass. Canada. Just guess how much it is in Canada right now on Steam.
$9.99.
$80.
Bro, I'm gonna be honest. As much fun as I'm having on Outriders, that's the only game
I'm
been running on console. That's nuts. I wouldn't recommend somebody spend that type of bread on it. Like and
it's a fun game. I wouldn't spend $80.
It's a fun game. I'm having
you guys know I will play a doomed game. Anthem is my ride or die.
Dude, I'll play Avengers.
I love Anthem. But I am mystified. But yeah, the question I have for L'Oreal, Snack Pack, and the man with the voice. There's this big debate that Game Pass devalues games, that people that play Game Pass games won't buy them. And I can say there's a game on Game Pass that I bought. Yes, it was because the studio was kind of shut down, but Indivisible I bought because I was like, I love this game. It's great. Do you think Game Pass devalues games?
Baron.
I'll go real quick. I don't. I think I could see why people think that. I think in some instances, it for some people it might. We can look back at the history of mobile gaming and the race to the bottom there, and that people in games are never going to recover from that on mobile. And so I get the tendency to think that, but I don't necessarily agree because it's going to bring in so many more people who didn't value games at all before in any way. They just didn't buy them. They wouldn't buy them. And now they are willing to spend money because they get so many games. And so right there, it's sort of just kind of, there's a slight increase among more people, I think. But also, we don't necessarily when we think about like, what is the value of a game to me? We think about, okay, first you think about the price. You think of how much you're going to pay for it, how much you're willing to pay for it. But that's not really how we think about it. We think about like the time we're willing to spend on it. The people we want to play with it. And if you get to a situation with Game Pass where your like local network, your friend group is playing every night and they're playing all these games together because they're on Game Pass and you feel comfortable to the point where you are willing to then go out and, like, they're going to be there for the next game, and even if it's not on Game Pass, you're like, I'm going to go out with them and we're all going to buy it because I know we have fun playing together. That stuff has so much more value to people, and it's intrinsic and it becomes linked to the games you play. And I think you kind of can't separate that from Game Pass. Game Pass is enabling that. I think it's what Microsoft discovered right away, is that this is going to have such a huge network effect where people are going to associate these good times with Game Pass and with their friends, and they're going to value it to the point where they won't even blink about spending $15 a month on it at all. And so I get, like, looking at it on paper why people might think that, but I think I disagree overall.
I'm telling you, I really believe in the next couple years, you're going to buy a new TV and it's going to come with a 3 months of Game Pass Ultimate, and it's going to come with a controls. Like, that's what's we're gonna start seeing. Like, it's getting to that point.
I need that to happen.
On Cogs last night, Cogs in the Machine, we were talking about how Dreamcast paved the way for Xbox, and we were talking about how we do not get any money from this. We're not sponsored by Game Pass, but if they want to slide a little pocket,
please, man.
if they want to hit me up, I'll give you a hooyah if they want to hit me up.
No hooyahs.
You might have.
You're not gonna let me do a hooyah for Game Pass?
You might have to do the hooyah.
You might have to do the hooyah for
Right.
Game Pass.
But we were talking about how Game Pass is such a value that just take the Yakuza games. All 6 of them are on there right now. Or actually 7, because 0, 1, 2, that's like $600 if you're gonna buy those games outright.
Right.
But if you pay them on Game Pass, and then you go out and buy them, I gotta get your thoughts. The man with the voice in there with no cam on tonight. Rand, how are you? What do you think of the Game Pass devaluing games?
Devaluing games.
I can't match his voice. He's too sexy.
I think that's just a way of people who don't like the service to take shots at it as a way of, like, I don't like Game Pass because it devalues games, right? As, like, their opinion is the only opinion that matters. And the same way of, like, oh, if you really want to support a developer and you want a sequel, you have to buy it at $70, right? Like, not everybody has the money to do that. Not everybody is rich. Not everybody has YouTube billions or, any of that stuff, right? So people make the choice on what they want. And honestly, like, I don't know, the whole Game Pass, like, I see it every single time I get on social media, like, okay, Game Pass is only fodder games, right? You see the goalposts move continuously. It's only indie games and AA games. And then once Xbox started, Xbox had to put their games in there because nobody would buy them. Okay. And then, Outriders, that's just that's basically a one-off. And then MLB happens. And like, it's always a constant people just moving the goalposts. Now it's like, hey, Jez puts out 23 million subscribers, and as somebody who knows Jez personally, does a podcast with him every single Friday and talks to him literally on a daily basis, I'm sure Jeff is the same way here. It's one thing to get on a podcast and speculate about stuff, but if you're putting stuff down on a website that employs you, you better have hard verifiable fact. So Jez literally has documents that say Microsoft has 23 million subscribers. But of course, people want to bring that down because that's a little bit maybe higher than they thought. So they say, well, maybe that's 23 million people who've tried out the service in totality for the past 4 years, because they can't wrap their minds around why somebody would want to pay $10 a month or whatever it is for Game Pass. So no, I don't think Game Pass devalues games in the same way Netflix doesn't devalue movies and TV shows, or Spotify doesn't devalue music. It's just a way for people to attack the service because they see it as a threat or they don't like it. And quite frankly, it's sick of it. I'm also sick of the whole sustainability issue.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh my God, Microsoft, this $1 trillion company, could afford to keep Game Pass moving?
If
Like,
Sony was
come on.
selling, they would buy Sony.
It's like, it's ridiculous. It's just, I don't know.
I see the numbers, right?
I mean,
I don't know. Microsoft come out there and say this is the active number of subscribers, even though the same people will never say anything to Sony when they put out 45 million subscribers for PS Plus. They don't say, "Was that the totality of numbers of users, or is that current
Are
subscribers?"
you implying, Lord Rand, that there's a double standard?
There is a double
What
standard.
can't be?
There is a double
Certain
standard.
camps of
100%.
gamers? Are that what we implying?
There's always a double standard. And look, I love Game Pass. I don't use it as much as I probably should because I tend to like to own the games I play. Like I downloaded Outriders in Game Pass, but then I eventually got a code for it. I downloaded MLB in Game Pass, but then I bought it. So I do think there's a significant maybe is a word I shouldn't use. A good percentage of people who use Game Pass as a try before you buy demo service. Microsoft has the numbers, and they're telling developers, listen, people who have Game Pass actually spend more money. They buy more games. They play more games. So I don't think everybody because I think people, they get laser focused on how they use the service, that they don't understand, like, well, if you have Game Pass, why would you buy Outriders? Why not just play it for free? It's like, but people are different. People have many different reasons, like how they use the service or whatever. And that's how Game Pass is different than Netflix and Spotify, because there is the retail side because they sell DLC and microtransactions. And I watched Jeff's last video. Me and Jez have been saying this for a while. Like the Outriders test was a huge success. Microsoft is in the middle of basically sharing the information with all their partners about, listen, it might be a mistake for you guys not to be on Game Pass day one.
Right.
Like you get money from us up front to help, mitigate the cost, which would have helped maybe in a situation for Days Gone, right? Or any of these titles like Returnal, which by the way looks amazing, but a lot of people are going to balk at the price. And then they basically say, listen, we'll pay you. You get all this engagement. You have all these people playing it, and it's only a win-win. It's only a win-win. We win, you win, everybody wins in this scenario. And I think the eyes of the industry are on Game Pass, how Outriders performs, how MLB performs, and the other titles that Microsoft are rumored to be targeting for later in the year, like Battlefield 6 and stuff like that. And so it could be one of those watershed moments where people look at Game Pass and they're like, well, this actually doesn't devalue games. This actually increases sales of titles and eyes on it. It's only a good thing. And maybe, you know what? We'll take the chance. We're going to put the game in Game Pass day one. We'll take the money. And because of it, more people will play our game and we'll make more money. But I think the people who go to those arguments are just sad individuals. And that, I don't know. That's really. I'm sorry for the rant, but I had.
It's concern trolling. It's so annoying to have to deal with concern trolls that are just like, well, I'm just worried about this. I'm just worried about the value of games. No, you're not. Shut the hell up. You don't care about the value of games.
I don't pay any mind. At the end of the day, it's like, look, I've had multiple developers on ILP.
Right.
We've had the smallest. We've had the unto the end developers, smaller. Husband and wife duo, and they made this game. And the structure of their deal was they got their bag up front. It provided them stability, and there was that less pressure to put it out. Then on a bigger scale, we just had Obsidian on, right? The Outer Worlds. They literally said that when they did the deal initially with Private Division, it was a modest budget, right? So now when we're talking about future things and the obviously Xbox Game Studio acquisition with them, now they're thinking on a broader scale. And they said, if you're worried about us, I literally clipped it because they said, if you're worried about us, Obsidian's going to change. No, Obsidian now has stability. And Microsoft is hands off, allowing them to be in the creative process. So again, all of this concern trolling and devaluing games, these are for people. There's a small subset of a vocal minority on Twitter who have locked themselves into an ecosystem. And now what's happened is they're seeing the success of Game Pass, and that bothers them. Because if you're a gamer, you do what's best for you. You do what's best as far as the games, you go where the games are. And that's all this is. So to me, that's why I'm listening to Jeff. I'm laughing because we all know what's going on here. There's people who have boxed themselves in, who have said outlandish statements that Xbox is not going to be successful or what have you. And now they're seeing some success with this. And this is fear. This is fear of where this thing is going. And the last point to your guy from Days Gone, look, I did have a problem with it because at the end of the day, here's my thing. I respect where he's coming from as a developer. You want everyone to support your game. But you literally, in this ecosystem, when we have things like Cyberpunk, when we have games that Every game is a risk to commit. Day one, $70, I'm going in. Unless you all the way emotionally attached to a game, you cannot ask every gamer to say, definitely I'm spending $70. And people wait for the sale. So we're going to tell people, don't pick up PlayStation Plus games. Don't pick up games when they're on sale. When they're on Black Friday, we're going to tell people, don't pick up. You're not supporting the developer there. Again, we got to be careful with this rhetoric. So at the end of the day, my only counter to him would be Days Gone was a success. I interviewed the devs at PAX. Like, I wanted the game to succeed. Yeah, it may have had, some the reviews were a little bit mediocre, but at the end of the day, to me, this is a fundamental issue with how Sony is valuing their own IPs. And maybe the issue may be, as far as critically acclaimed, as far as it being a blockbuster versus, a high Metacritic score, as to why that sequel, I wasn't in the room, but I'm just saying, as to why a sequel wasn't afforded to them. That, to me, is the bigger issue, as opposed to pointing the finger at gamers on a successful game that was number 2 in MPD when it came out. I was there. The only thing of it was Mortal Kombat. So again, we got to be careful with the statements and that kind of stuff. And that's the only thing. It just annoys me because, again, we're in a pandemic. Everybody's situation is different. You can't tell a gamer who is going through something and you have an option like Game Pass to get all these games. Oh, no, you can't get that. You got to go support the developer and spend $70 every single time. We got to be realistic here. That's all.
I think you guys, everybody's, because apparently I'm the youngest tonight, when it comes to Metacritic scores, you guys know I do a lot of reviews of old games. Like, I'm old.
What?
I'm the youngest, but I'm the oldest.
She's drunk.
I'm doing a lot of Commodore 64 reviews coming up quick.
Ooh.
A 60 is still a passing. A 70 is still a 50 is a passing. So when a game gets like an 83, and they're like, "Man, that game is trash." Like, bro, I would have been in an honors program in my high school if I had that. Come on, 83. I just don't get that.
When did passing become bad? Like,
I don't know.
I don't,
because I was on the precipice of when they
the gamers made it a
moved from
competition
letter
of
grades.
their platform versus my platform and my game versus the game. That's when 80 became unsatisfactory.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, man. Like, are you
Well, I
kidding
mean,
me?
this game's got more expensive, right? Like, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the
So
pressures.
expensive.
Like, you show up on day one, you're excited. I'm really excited for this. Oh, it's $70 now. It's only an 83. Man, I mean, that's what I think,
Terrible.
right? Like Returnal. I'm like, Returnal is. I started it. I believe I'm allowed to give preview impressions, and I'll say that right now it feels like a $70 Housemarque game, and for me, that's fantastic because I got free code. And so it's like I'm like, I love Housemarque games. They're fantastic, and it's like this one looks. It looks like a $70 version of one of those, and that's cool. If I write that down in a review and then send you out and say I think that's really good, and I'm gonna send you out now, go spend $70 on it, I imagine most people are going to balk at that. I think
Yes.
that's what I imagine. Maybe I'll be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I think most people are going to be like, okay, yeah. So you think it's a strong scoring game, and it's fun. It's a lot like these other games that were previously $20, like in that range. And it like looks prettier. Okay. Yeah, I'll try to. And that math is just not going to work in people's heads. So I mean, that's when passing like just isn't enough.
Right.
And then you have like people in Australia where Returnal's like $120.
I mean,
You know?
Canada's good.
What's
Yeah,
up,
Canada's gonna be $100. Yeah, how
It's
much?
like-
How much is Returnal in Canada? It's probably like at least 90, if not like 100.
I
Yeah.
will look it up for you right
Yeah.
now because now I'm so curious.
Hey,
Yeah.
Dallas.
And
It seemed
actually,
like they worked so hard with
100.
that. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, it's 120 in Australia, but that's for now because if it doesn't pass their filters, they will block it. Because GTA 5 you can't buy in Australia. There's a ton of games you can't buy in Australia.
Right.
You can't. I don't think you can buy the Yakuza games either in Australia.
Hey,
Anybody is Australian, let me know.
I want to ask a question for Dallas. I know Dallas over the last year, when you got your PC, you became a Game Pass subscriber, and then recently you got your Xbox, you became a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber. At any point of what you playing these assortment of games, I see you online all the time. By the way, you always gaming on
All the
Xbox.
time.
Do you feel at any point like, oh man, I got so many games, this game just came out? Like, do you feel like you're not supporting the developer, even though you are dropping $15 a month to Microsoft, which they in turn give to these developers?
No. I mean, think about it like this. If you are out here complaining, and maybe it's different for Days Gone, I think, because they didn't have the option of going to Game Pass. Maybe it's easy to complain about it then. There's no PlayStation equivalent. Maybe it makes a little more sense to complain about it. Not that it makes sense to us as consumers, but I understand. I understand why you would feel a way about something like that. But I'm pretty sure every game on Game Pass is, every developer that made a game that goes to Game Pass is doing just fine. I was trying to say earlier how Herger was just talking about Indivisible. She just showed the physical copy. I think there you go. But you played it on Game Pass. Rand was talking about MLB. He downloaded it on Game Pass, but he also bought it. It might be anecdotal, but there's 2 people right here. 2 people out of 7 that played the game on Game Pass and also bought a copy.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's really losing. And I'm sorry, man. I have a life. I do stuff. I paid my rent. I paid all my bills.
You are eternally busy.
I'm saying, like,
While
I still buy games, but and I get codes, and I play games on Game Pass, and I do everything in phases. So right now I'm in a Game Pass phase. So unless I'm reviewing a game or unless I just see something crazy on Steam that I want, I'm probably going to be playing Game Pass games for the next couple months, or let me not lie, until Resident Evil comes out, which I'll probably buy on PlayStation.
Oh man, when that comes out.
Yeah. Like I game where I feel like I want to play a certain game, and hopefully, I don't know what they deals look like, but hopefully the developer gets what they need to get out of it. If I say happen to get it free on PS Plus, because I don't hear people complaining about that and saying they not getting support.
I got 2 things. Number one, Hugger, this meme is for you. I think you will appreciate that. And secondly, while we're on the topic of Metacritic score, I do want to ask you, Jeff. I know we kind of heard some things come out that's saying that Sony is really reliant on those blockbusters, high Metacritic. Do you think at some point Sony may or may not back themselves in a corner? You can have it. Go ahead.
Jeff, can I get a yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But do you think some point Sony could back themselves in the corner being so?
We got to
Let me hear Jeff. Here, let me hear it.
Oh yeah. Okay. You want me to do? Okay. Yeah.
I'll do you.
Oh yeah. Is that good enough? I tried my best.
사랑해. Oh my god. Whoever is, clipping stuff for us, because I always get sent DMs of like, hey, you were a dumbass on tonight's podcast. Please send that to me because
clip it, whatever. I hope my wife didn't hear me.
That is a joy.
Trust me.
Man.
This podcast is weird because if we do something dumb, the wife's head's always popping like, what you doing?
Yeah,
over
exactly.
there?
Yes.
This is absolutely.
I was saying, my wife is already. I can hear her now.
Did you start another OnlyFans, Jeff?
No, I swear I didn't.
But
please, somebody send that to me.
Before we got to
I loved it.
I wanted to ask I wanted to get started with you, Jeff. If you thought maybe Sony can get themselves in trouble relying too much on that blockbuster, high-scoring AAA game of the year type game.
I mean, yes, maybe. I think that it is like people say it's a conservative strategy. They're not taking risks, and there's still a lot of inherent risks of spending a lot of money on a few games. Like that is just an inherently risky thing. And if one of them goes sideways, they could find themselves thinking, man, this is like, you get to a point where like you start looking at these big bets and even they look pretty bad and you don't want to make them anymore. And it's like, okay, so we made The Last of Us Part 3 and we're seeing diminishing returns on sales and review scores, or we make God of War Part 2 and then Part 3 and we see something similar. They're going to need to be able to like reload with something slightly different or significantly different that is just as exciting to fans. And that's just the way gaming is. We're not playing the same games today that we were playing 10, 15 years ago. We are playing this kind of the same games that we were playing 7 years ago, which makes me feel like we are getting to a point where these things are going to move out of fashion in terms of the Sony style third person cinematic action adventure game. That said, they do have like Insomniac. They do have it's like Guerrilla. Guerrilla shifted to making these kinds of third-person cinematic action adventure games, and they did a really good job at that. And a lot of people really liked Horizon Zero Dawn. Before that, they made shooters. So this is a company that's proven they can shift from one genre to another. And if they need to do that again, I bet they'll be able to do that again. But all that, like, the reason they were able to do that is because they had a lot of talent, and that talent was taken care of for a really long time. And part of that story was developers are feeling a little bit unsure about like if they're going to be able to be creative at Sony, and they're feeling some angst about having to work on these games, or they're feeling some angst about just becoming a Naughty Dog support studio. Like that might be a real risk. And at a certain point, those developers, the good ones are probably going to leave, go somewhere else, find greener pastures. And then when it's time to reload, if they aren't there, that's when they could be in trouble. Now, these they're hypotheticals. When I look at it and I try to think like what is Sony's future, I think it'll probably be fine. But then there's like the degrees of variance. Like it could do a lot better than we think. But if it does like slightly worse, it could find itself in a situation where it doesn't want to sort of approach these sorts of games anymore. And then what? But I don't necessarily feel the same way about Microsoft in part because like it still needs to like deliver on these big games. We don't know it, but it seems to be happy with the strategy it has with Game Pass. So it's like. And that at this point, Microsoft's on such like the growth path for Game Pass that's like, okay, its future seems pretty solid. We sort of know the direction it's headed. And then Sony's at the top, and it feels like they can maybe just either maintain that or lose it. And that so there's something that just kind of feels more precarious than the situation that Microsoft or even Nintendo is in, because Nintendo has such a built-in sort of like we're going to succeed forever because we're going to just keep winning over families for years and years and years. So I think they could be in trouble. Maybe I'm not like super worried about it. I think they'll probably figure it out. I love Insomniac. I think the Ratchet and Clank is going to come out, and I think a lot of concern from like PlayStation fans is probably going to go away for quite some time because they're like, we have an awesome new game that is fantastic from one of the best developers in the world, and they're gonna feel good about it. And then I'm now at that point I may be like, as long as you have Insomniac, like there's not actually that much to worry about because you do have one of the best studios in the world, so you're going to keep being able to make games. And then maybe that's the studio that comes up with the next great like PlayStation style game, and then everyone starts making games like Insomniac, and I think that could work out for them too. So yeah.
Hey Rand, on the flip side of that, we hear a lot about, of course, Microsoft and their 60 rated games and whatnot. Do you feel like with Game Pass, Microsoft doesn't necessarily have to rely on those 95, 96 games because it's in Game Pass?
I mean, they probably don't, but I still think if you have a critically acclaimed game, it's going to draw more eyes to the Game Pass service. So, like, it's much better to make a game really good than it is make a game really bad like Crackdown. Like, I don't think Crackdown brought anybody to Game Pass. But if you released a Fable that was a 92 Metacritic and everybody was talking about it, that would certainly bring more attention to the service. So yeah, Microsoft is a little less reliant on high Metacritic Game of the Year stuff than Sony is, simply based on the two diverging paths the companies are taking. Like Sony's very much traditional model, Microsoft is trying to disrupt the industry with Game Pass. And I kind of agree with Jeff, where Sony might be a little bit out of their element if Microsoft can turn Game Pass into that extremely big market disruptor, where Microsoft changes people's minds about how they buy their games and how much they spend their games on. Because if Microsoft can convince a lot of people that, spending $60 or $70 on your games isn't the way forward anymore, the way forward is Game Pass, then that could significantly impact Sony's bottom line and their stature. Will that happen? And that's, who really knows? Sony, like those big budget games, if they don't make a lot, if they Sony's not going to want to make them. I mean, you mentioned a project going sideways. Look at and I know it's the topic, but look at Death Stranding and Kojima. There's a reason why Kojima went to go talk to Stadia and is now talking to Xbox because, Death Stranding didn't pull the numbers that Sony thought. Too expensive, didn't make enough. Right. And that's the problem when you want to sell. We need to sell 20 million copies. We need to make this X amount of money profit. And then you have a game like Days Gone which is which sold a lot, but Sony never talked about it once, giving you an impression that it wasn't enough for Sony. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting because games only get more expensive. They only take longer to make. So the line that these games have to reach is constantly going to be up and up and up and higher and higher and higher. That there could be a problem. I don't really foresee a problem. It obviously could happen, but like, I don't know. We're talking like best case scenario for Xbox and Game Pass, and kind of like the worst case scenario for PlayStation in this. And I mean, it could happen, but who knows if it will. Cog, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are making great points. I think, it's one of those things where I just got my eyebrow raised. It's just, okay, let's just see how this new approach. Obviously, the Bloomberg articles come out. We got a chance to see a little bit, how the sausage is made with certain decisions. And, at the end of the pause.
There's a lot of sausage talk. This is a sausage party, but come on.
Why did I do that with Hugger in here? Why did I do that?
You can't say nothing around Hugger, bro. She gonna
can't say nothing left. Oh, man.
You my snack attack. Come on.
It's all love. So, yeah, like, at the end of the day, it's like I look at it like this. Okay. Short term, I think they'll be fine. They've got these tremendous IPs, these fantastic studios that make these beloved games. They'll be fine. The only concern I have is when you hear about the Days Gone situation, and the thing that I actually respected about Sony in the PS4 gen was that they always felt that they gave their new IPs a chance. They cultivated. When you look at things like Uncharted, or you look at certain things, afforded a sequel. Things I would actually get upset with Microsoft about, like, where's our Rise 2? Whatever happened to, Sunset Overdrive and so on and so forth. So to me, that was a strength. You know what I mean? That was something that I really respected. So now if the plan is to double down on just the blockbusters, right? My only concern is coming from the Xbox One gen, I call it the Big Mac, large fries, and the shake, which is the Gears, Forza, you know what I'm saying? And what's the dead Halo, right? So, you have to, at some point, like Jeff said, these are big games, but at the same time, does the audience eventually get tired of it? Do you start to see a slight reduction there? And I think I just want them to be cognizant of that balance. At the end of the day, they still have great IPs. They should be fine short term, but long term, if you don't cultivate these new IPs, if you don't do these things that kind of got you there, if you notice with Sean Layden, the tweets he's been liking lately is very interesting to me, about him supporting these smaller games that end up cultivating into bigger things. And who knows, again, I'm not in that, boardroom, but who knows what the philosophical difference between them may have been, as to why maybe he had led him to exit. So it's just eyebrow raising. I think short term, they'll be fine, but they have to be careful because Microsoft is in a position, like Rand is saying, I mean, you've got Game Pass, you've got all these things that they're being your competitor is extremely aggressive right now, right? And they have to be cognizant of not being complacent because every generation is a clean slate. I'm a firm believer of that. You have to earn the respect of the fans all over again. You cannot just rely on your history, which is great. You're still going to have to put in the work. So it's going to be a fun generation regardless, but it is interesting to see.
Yeah. And just real quick, it's like Microsoft has solved their problem, right? The Game Pass is the solution. Like we need to find a way to make making games make sense for us. Right. During the Xbox One generation, it was clear that they didn't fully understand. Like, we don't really want to invest a lot of money in these games. People, like Phil Spencer would say, we look at the numbers. People are spending thousands of hours on Destiny. And they would say, I'm spending thousands of hours playing Destiny. And then he's like, so why are we going to make these games that people are going to pick up, play, and then put down and never play again? It's like, and then I think like the light snapped in his head right at that moment. He's like, oh, let's just make it a subscription service. That way, even if a person's subscribing to the service to play one of those games that they pick up, play, and put down, they're still a part of this ongoing service, and the revenue stream is all additive at that point. Your big game now isn't competing with other things; it is adding to the service. And it seems like Sony is in a situation where they have games that are working for them, but then they're also looking around and saying, well, these are the games that are working, and they're the biggest games we've ever made. And then there's games that aren't working for us, and they're slightly smaller. So we're going to stop making these smaller games, and we're going to make big games. And then are we going to make even bigger games? Is that our future where they have to be even bigger than this? And that doesn't feel like a sustainable solution to like their long-term problem of being able to make enough games to make their customers happy. That is, and that, I think that's where people are looking to Sony and saying, what are you going to do? Are you going to get creative and solve this problem? You don't have to do Game Pass yourself, but are you going to get creative and find a way to keep making interesting games? And it doesn't seem right now, it doesn't seem like they are willing to do that. They have a model that's working, and I understand wanting to stick with that, but they could find it could just go sideways on them. Is the concern we keep going back to.
To jump in, you made a fantastic point, because that's my only concern, because to me, it's those smaller games and those diverse games that get a little bit of a new person into your ecosystem. There's a new game, because a person may just buy a Sony or PlayStation just for that game. You know what I mean? So now if you're eliminating this bigger pie of this diversity, which is their strength, then that's the concern. If you're just making these blockbuster games, right, then how is that going to affect you? And then you look at a Game Pass, which has all of this diversity. We just talked about Octopath Traveler. That was, I remember the Switch that came. I know a lot of JRPG fans are running to that. You got the sports fans going crazy with MLB The Show, and people who, let's be honest, fam, we got a lot of our dude bros that Madden, 2K, and that's it, right? Every year, right? But look, I tell my cousin, he just got Series X now. He's one of those guys. He's like, oh, Madden in there, 2K in there, and MLB. It's a go, right? And then you look at Outriders. And I'm a looter shooter guy. I'm the Destiny guy. Rand to tell you, me and Rand would play. Like, I wasn't buying Outriders when I first. I was like, look, it looked cool. I already got Destiny. I'm married to that, and that's what it is, right?
And they got you naked right now.
So they got me naked with an inventory glitch. But the thing is, as soon as you say Outriders, I'm pulling up. Let's go see what's going on. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. And that's the issue that Sony's gonna have to deal with. You have a competitor with resources, and this is the play. Game Pass is the product. That is the driving force. And that's my only concern with them in this generation with this new supposed strategy.
I mean, my concern with Xbox has always been the same. I still want to know if Matt Booty can help these 15 studios make quality games.
Facts.
Like I'm not so much concerned about Bethesda, right? I think Bethesda will go back to what the type of games that, because I think Bethesda kind of was like, oh man, the video game industry shifted from single player to games as a service right underneath our feet. Okay, we need to change, and you know what? We're not really good at it, right? Okay, so now they can go back to making quality, single player stuff. My concern with Xbox is like, okay, like let's see you like start putting out some quality titles, and every game doesn't need to be a 90 game of the year contender, but like games start to need to be like, hey, you know what? Mid 80s, this is a great game, right? Halo Infinite, like that game's got. A game's got a lot to prove. So like
mid-80s, like, you'd be on your honor roll, y'all. Come on.
I mean it's not like I'm saying like, well, PlayStation's doomed. There's a scenario where, like best case, worst case, but like I still like looking at, even though I'm really excited for the future Xbox is gonna have, I think it's gonna be the best they've ever, put on, simply because the breadth of studios they have now. When in the past it was like the Xbox One, they had 5 studios. They literally had only 5, and 3 of them worked exclusively on 343 only worked on Halo, Coalition only worked on Gears, and Turn only worked on Forza. So
Big Mac, large fries, and a shake.
And they relied so heavily on second party deals, which ended up biting them in the ass, like Rise with Crytek and Crackdown with Sumo Digital, and then the whole multiplayer stuff with Doug Jones, which was a quagmire. Scalebound and Platinum, like it really just highlighted to everybody like what the issue was with Xbox. It's like, man, you need some studios. So they got them now, but it's like, all right, Matt, you have 15 studios. Can you help these studios? Can you help grow Compulsion? Can you help make Undead Labs better? Can you do these things? Because that's what everybody's hopeful for, right? Can Ninja Theory, is Hellblade 2 going to be that big of a leap? And I use this when I was talking to Cognito, like when I played A Way Out from Hazelight, I was like, hey, this is pretty good. But then you play It Takes Two, and you can see the jump in between those two games, right? Like
Fame and I have been playing that, and that is so different from A Way Out.
It is, but it's so much better. Like the production values, the voice, like the gameplay. It's like that's what I want to see from between Hellblade and Hellblade 2, where it's like you can understand, like when you look at it, you're like, now I understand what Microsoft's money means. Hellblade, you know what I'm saying? Like Hellblade 2 has better combat, more puzzles, isn't basically a walking simulator. And even though I love that game to death, that's what it was. Like, so you want to see the Microsoft money come into play. And he'd be like, okay, that's why these studios were wanted to get bought out, because they don't got to worry about it. Now it's about making the best games possible. But, Jazz has even talked about it on the show. Like, he's like, you know what? You can't rely on Bethesda. So, like, that's my only concern left is can Matt Booty help make Xbox Game Studios into something to be reckoned with? And if they can, then they will be a force to be reckoned with. When you combine all those titles into Game Pass, it's going to be ridiculous if they can pull that off.
Well, it's crazy on the other end with PlayStation. I know we brought up Returnal. I don't know if you guys caught on, but it seemed like they worked really hard not to use the word roguelite. Like,
yes,
they worked very hard not to say that word.
So people are going to be very surprised when they play that game and they die to the first boss and they're like, man, I didn't even get to a save point. And then they're going to be like, wait a second, is this a roguelite?
Yeah,
that's going to happen.
Yep.
And I could tell from the game when I seen the trailers. I'm not cool. Like, but my ponytail's not long enough.
Little brother, get the jets flowing a little bit more, brother.
Yeah, just a little bit more. Give me time. But no, it's so crazy that I know for a fact. Well, it's safe to say that if that game was being released on Xbox day one on Game Pass, it would have got torn to shreds. And it. Long story short is. So what will it take for Sony to wear out that goodwill they got with the people? Like,
I think it's coming, to be honest, because they still had that goodwill from the PlayStation 3. They kind of dropped their balls on Xbox, and then PlayStation 4 was selling. And I think it was on the episode with Tim Dog. I talked about my first dog. My first PlayStation.
I was feeling Long Island. I felt the Long Island, New York connected to you.
My first PlayStation came from a pawn shop. Like, I'm in the Game Pass of I don't got a lot of money around, but I'm gonna try to spend my money. My Disney Plus subscription is my co-host for Cogs and Machine. Trevor gives me his Disney Plus subscription so I can like watch WandaVision, I can watch Winter Soldier.
So good.
I am so glad that Sony is getting its comeuppance in this generation, because we have witnessed cocky Sony so many times. And they're getting their comeuppance where they're kind of get smacked back into place. I mean, Nintendo and Sega, they're off on their own, doing what they do. They do their own thing. But Sony and Xbox have always been the main competitors, even though they're like working with each other. It's nice to see them get smacked back into place, because Sony is so cocky right now.
They're gonna hate you on Twitter for saying that.
Oh yeah.
I don't care. I didn't start playing PC until 6 years ago, so I really don't care if you don't like my opinions. I think of it, I think of it as a business.
I didn't say any of this shit. I didn't say any of this shit.
First,
Mr. Ryan,
okay, you leave me
I hope I meet you.
You all leave me the hell out of this.
Real talk. I want to frame this. I'm talking about this from a perspective of somebody who every generation buys every console. Like, I just want to play games, and where like.
You don't lock yourself into one ecosystem and complain.
No, why would that is such a sad life. Like I know people who listen to one genre of music.
Ain't that the way the game? Ain't that what you're supposed to do?
I don't know, Dallas. You tell me.
You really call yourself a gamer if you don't do that?
Right?
You're supposed to just buy one platform and lock yourself in.
Snack attack.
That's what I'm saying, and I
I apologize.
Look, I just wanted to frame that because I want to know, like, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I really feel like Returnal is going to hit a lot of people over the head, like in a bad way. Not because it's going to be a bad game, but because of how they're labeling it and how they're pushing it, and then what's going to actually, once again, that's just my, Cog, what you think about it, man?
Jeff, before we get into that, only Jeff could make that meme and have me almost. I'm glad I wasn't drinking because I would have spit it everywhere.
Look, with Returnal, I will defer to Jeff on that. I mean, I have some interest in it. It is interesting. You're making some good points in reference to, the roguelike discovery, right? And how people are going to react to that. That's going to be interesting. For me, I definitely got my eye on it, but I'm in that boat too, where it's like, again, they're going to accuse me of not supporting the developer if I don't rush out and get 70. I just want to learn a little bit more about it before I commit, So, I mean, like I said, Jeff, you have it. You're one of the blessed people. Like, what's your feeling on it so far?
I mean, I like it. I like it quite a bit. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I want to keep playing it. When I get done here, I'm gonna get those kids in bed, and then I'm gonna come back downstairs. I'm gonna keep playing it tonight. And I think it looks pretty. It looks expensive, and it's got like a lot of really cool stuff happening. And you know what? We're saying stuff like a lot of PlayStation games are starting to feel the same. Insomniac's doing cool stuff, but what else are they doing? Well, Returnal is other cool stuff that they're doing, and they should get credit for making this game happen. I just think that if this game, I feel bad for this game because it feels like it is. It's coming from a studio that looked at the market. This wasn't like just like them talking to Sony, and Sony's like, "Hey, we're only going to like kind of give you this really good placement if you make a $70 game." They looked at the market. They're like, "Our arcade style games don't really work anymore. We want to make bigger games," but it does feel like they would not have gotten this placement if they weren't making a bigger game. But they're a studio that comes from making arcade style games, and it still has that lineage. And there are going to be people that are going to come into this with expectations and expect it to be this cinematic thing, and it's going to be, it is cinematic for a Housemarque game, and it's cinematic for a roguelike. Right. And I do believe that there are going to be people who fall in love with it and really, really, really think I think a lot of people who are open to like new game ideas, and especially people I think that haven't played like roguelites before. If they haven't played Hades, they're going to try this, and if they give it a chance, it's going to win them over. But yes. I just think a lot of people probably aren't going to give them that chance. I think a lot of people are going to get it and realize that first time that they have to start over from the beginning, right. And they're gonna freak out, and they're gonna like sell the game, give it away, return it. I think that's going to happen to a certain extent. I hope I'm wrong again, but for me, I am really enjoying it. I'm at like right now. It's like, it's headed towards a favorable review for me. So but that's after a couple hours. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. You know what? It's okay to not like a certain type of game. It wasn't until about 4 years ago that I really got into turn-based when I finally played Earthbound. It's okay to not like a certain type of game, but don't outright dismiss it. Because games are a beautiful thing, and the stories in some of the games are so beautiful.
I disagree. Souls games are trash. All of them. If it's a Souls game, I'm not playing it,
the lore in the Souls games is so good.
No, Souls games.
And you know what? Because thanks to Shakalaka, that donated the last $64 in our $1,000 campaign for Extra Life, we will be streaming November 6th, 24 hours. Fame has to play one Soulsborne, and I'm going to give you the Jedi Fallen Order because that is.
Bro, I'm going to. I'm not, bro. I'm going to get my. Bro, listen, bro.
What?
I don't.
You have the easy end of the deal because I have to play two horror
games. We made the deal and we did it for the kids. I'm gonna do it and all, but when I'm at the first level for 6 hours, bro, my time is up, bro. It's somebody else's turn.
I have to play 2 horror games, and I'm thinking hopefully one of them will be Resident Evil, and then I'm gonna try to find an indie horror game to play. But November 6th and that's Fame's birthday weekend too, so that's gonna be extra special.
It's getting old, man. I'll be 30
you old man.
Year. 34, man. Where did the time go? Like,
let me clean the cobwebs out.
Whoa, hold on, baby.
See, you know what you need to do is just grow the hair out like Jeff.
I can't.
Get the.
You see this?
Maybe grow it out that you can see all the white hairs, man. I got like it's all gonna be. Next time you have me on in a couple months, it's all gonna be white.
I need a Sharpie. Come on, bro.
And then you need the calmness of Snack Attack, and then you need the voice of Rand.
Hey, look, quick learn that says, bro, Fallen Order make him start with Demon Souls like a real man.
No, because we need him to stream for at least like 2 hours. He's gonna stream for 30 minutes if he's playing a Soulsborne.
No. I can play Sekiro.
Yeah, Sekiro.
He won't play that for that long. I can tell you that.
If I ask real nicely, will he do it? Play Sekiro, please.
No.
Jeff.
Even
man.
he
How can you say no to Jeff Grubb?
I ain't gonna say no to Jeff.
Jeez.
I mean, if he throws in
It's
like
for the kids.
a couple more hair flips.
You don't have to buy my copy.
No.
Ovaries.
I'm
Gotta do
smoldering
it.
for you.
Here's-
Babe, you got it.
Here's how you get by. I'll do it for a follow on Twitter.
Ooh,
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Of course.
man,
Okay.
I would have held out for more. I'd be like, I'll play Sekiro if you tell me all of Xbox's lineup for E3.
I like surprises, big dog.
I was about to
Yeah.
say.
I like surprises. I like
knowing.
surprises.
I like knowing things so I'm not surprised. But that's just me.
That's our lineup for November 6th.
There you go.
I guess it's Sekiro
It's a
now.
work in
Good
progress.
God.
Grubb has made it happen.
And Jeff, was it really that controversial when you said Gear 6 won't be at E3 this year? Like, was anybody really expecting it this year? I mean, come on.
I
burn you
did
down.
not get that at all. I don't even remember. I did not remember saying it because it was a question from chat, and so like it wasn't like a thing I planned to say. So it just like came out of my head, and I'm like thinking about 5 other things as I'm saying it, and then I'll move on to the next question. And then a couple days later, like almost a full week later, it popped up on Twitter. I'm like, what the hell? Where did I even say this? And I had to like go look at the video. I'm like, oh, okay, it's from one of my streams. But yeah, I don't get why that was so. Why that was such a big pop for on Twitter. It did not make sense to me. Of course, that game's not ready. Of course.
Anything out of your mouth is
Yeah,
what people want to hear.
it is. It's getting wild out there.
Speaking of, I believe our last topic is also coming from you, Jeff. This may be your fault. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I do want to start with Dallas because Dallas, I believe, is probably one of the biggest Kojima fans that I am. Got the pleasure of knowing. And so when we're hearing that Kojima possibly having a game coming out on Xbox, and we know and we've heard and we've seen Xbox's struggle in Japan, from moments of selling 10 consoles a month out there, according to the NPD at some points. If this was to happen, how big of a deal is this for them to have especially if it is an exclusive title on the Xbox platform, which may or may not end up in Game Pass Day One?
You know what? I have a really hard time speaking for other people, but for me, as a person who's there's only 2 Kojima games I haven't played. That's the Second Zone of the Enders and Police Knots, and we're gonna fix that at some point. I feel like he knew that I won't say transition into Xbox. I won't say that exactly because I technically still play my PlayStation, my Switch collection. But,
So diplomatic.
I know. It's very key choice of words.
I have everything that's not next gen right now, and I play everything that's not next gen right now. But my Xbox has been getting a whole lot more play from me since I got it. Game Pass has been getting a whole lot more play from me since I got it. And a Kojima game day one on Game Pass, we're gonna claim it right now in the name. How can I say no to that? It'd be weird to. Okay, so as much trash as we like to talk, I love Death Stranding. As much trash as we like to talk,
I did too.
after I beat the game, I watched this man beat the game.
I beat
Talk
it
about
on
Baron. I
stream.
watched him beat
I
the
played
game.
it from beginning to end on stream. So yeah.
And we spent I think we spent almost all stream roasting on the second one. So I mean on the last one, right when you beat the game. So just imagine that experience twice on Game Pass. For me, like I said, I have a hard time
And
talking
for no additional cost.
For no, mind you, he didn't say for free. He said no additional cost.
I like that
You know,
terminology.
that for three.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what though? That when people say for free, if people are saying that, that means they're thinking that. That means they feel it's free, and that's kind of all that matters. If you feel it's free to you, first of all, that is incredible marketing by Microsoft. That is that is just like they when a company makes you feel like you're getting a deal and you're paying them money, they're like, motherfuckers, we got you so good. Like that's it is incredible. But if that's how you feel about it, that's how you feel about it. Like you can't change that. So if people like I've caught myself like saying, oh, you're gonna get it for free. I'm like, no, it's at no additional cost. But I want to say for free because I'm not gonna get rid of Game Pass. I have Game Pass and I'm gonna keep it. So yeah, it's an impressive marketing win for Microsoft.
Absolutely. And then once again, I can only speak for myself, but call me what you want, fight me, but you can't beat me up. I have every single streaming service. every single service you can think of except Crunchyroll and VRV.
Peacock.
I even had
Peacock.
You got
Oh no, take that back. I don't. Almost every streaming service. All
He
of
has the
them I have.
Hallmark channel too.
Also, I even had freaking what's the name of that? What's the name of that shit?
Do you have
Paramount
the new
Plus.
DC
Paramount?
Universe. I even had that for
I
a
was
while.
about to say Paramount.
DC. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this man ain't
Everything
playing.
until I realized what's the name of that? Titans was on HBO Max, and I was like, forget it. At this point feel like I get the most value out of Game Pass. Out of every subscription, I have a subscription to every. I have like music producers subscriptions that where I get 1 million drum sounds a month or whatever. And I use those religiously. I still feel as if I get the most value out of Game Pass.
Lord Cognito, again, and we're gonna get to Jeff because I believe this topic is Jeff's fault. But your thoughts on the impact that a Kojima title, quote unquote, on the Xbox platform, if it's exclusive or coming straight to Game Pass, the impact that could have on Xbox in a territory like Japan, which they have always and for the foreseeable future are struggling in.
Right. Now I gotta Dallas. Don't come for me.
It comes a slander.
Listen, I respect it, man. Like I was there in the Metal Gear phase. I was with you in the Metal Gear. Like I was there all the way, and then some narrative things. What I realized with him, he has a lot of Western ideas, and he puts a lot of philosophical things into his games. And sometimes he just goes a little left for me, where he loses sometimes, right? Death Stranding was one of those moments. Wasn't for me, but I was like, I respect everyone that love it. But here's the thing. Unlike some gamers on Twitter, I still respect this move if this happens. Because at the end of the day, he's creative. He has a following, right? And you giving him, because we did hear about the allegedly the Stadia thing falling through, whatever. So clearly he's shopping, so to speak, right? And if this is true, according to Jeff and everybody, the rumors and stuff that we're seeing, I think it's a big boom because at the end of the day, the optics of it is you're taking away one of, your competitors' biggest publishers, rivals, or whatever you want to call it, and having that on your platform. And his name has always been synonymous kind of with Sony. So that's a big thing. I would like to see him, though. I must admit, there is an excitement of seeing him with a budget in a Game Pass kind of model and what that could bring. I think that excites me. And then the second part, that's what I'm saying. Like it's pretty exciting. So the second part, though, if that part is true, and Jeff, you correct me if I'm wrong here, is that if there's any way, we know that Microsoft struggles in the region, right? And if there's any way they could use this deal to help facilitate anything else in the region, the way they know it, then to me, that's the part of it that would excite me the most. Because as we know with Sony Studios, as far as Japan and stuff like that, the focus seems to be more Europe and the United States on their part. So maybe this is an opportunity for Microsoft to kind of get their foot in the region through Kojima, a known entity, a known name, and maybe build off of that. That part, if it's possible, would excite me. But yeah, I think the move is significant regardless. Like Kojima game, and look, I had a running joke. Look, you get Kojima, you get Jeff.
Oh man,
listen, man, you get Jeff Keighley, man.
I've said some shameful things about Jeff and Keighley on, especially when it's the Game Awards, man. Oof.
Look, it's good
a
PR.
package deal.
It is good PR.
It's good PR, man. At the Game Awards, that don't hurt, man.
You know what is something that people forget, and we've talked about some, because in Cogs and Machine we do deep dives. We'll pick a topic and we deep dive into it, and we'll talk about it for like I think our longest was like 3 hours. It's a long time. We will dive into something, and we like last night was Sega and Xbox. These studios work together, so there's no reason to pick console war, but things are so different now. I remember when it was this beautiful game, Rise of Tomb Raider, came out. It was a 6-month exclusive on Xbox. The PlayStation baby, Lara Croft, because she first came out on PC, PlayStation, and then came out to Xbox and all that. I mean, they held off for the 20th anniversary to come out on PlayStation, but people were upset. It's like, yo, these games just they just trying to make. I say this time and time again. They don't want to make a little bit of money off you. They want to make all the money off you. Look at EA, but they want to make all the money off of you guys. They don't care about your loyalty one way or another. And to have loyalty in this day and age, it's kind of foolish, in a sense.
I feel you.
And like Jeff said in his latest video, get loud and tell Nintendo, hey, drop that price of Breath of the Wild. It does not need to be $80 here.
Why is that game still for?
Nintendo is the only one that's
Okay, get loud.
Nintendo does
except
not
for
care.
Nintendo doesn't listen. They're not
They
going to
don't
listen.
care.
Never mind. Get on with everyone else. I should have put that in the video.
That game
That's
is
true.
still
Yeah.
for
They
They
don't
don't
give a
care.
shit. Yeah.
Really.
Because they know that, like, they got that magic spell. They got a magic spell. No matter what we said, they're like, okay, yeah, sure, and then Pokemon sells better than ever. Every game, every time we yell at them about something, they make more money. So yeah,
You know
they're
what was
magic.
so
We give
crazy?
them
I
such a
held out hope.
pass.
I held out hope for them, but when I remember when they announced DLC for The Legend of Zelda, my heart sank. I was like, the world, it's over.
He said it's over.
Nothing
No,
is
when they
sacred
said,
anymore. Nothing is sacred.
when Sword and Shield came out, and it was like, you know what? We are not going to sell you the rest of the Pokemon, and then they sold you the rest of the Pokemon.
Yep.
Oh, Nintendo.
Like
They
Nintendo.
get away with murder, and I buy their games still.
Mhm.
Nintendo does so much. Like Nintendo's interesting. I will say that. I think we hold them in such a high regard because in 1983 they did save the gaming industry from going in the direction it was. But we got to realize Nintendo, and I will put this is a controversial opinion. Rockstar's up there where they need to kind of get beat back into not submission, but like they need to understand. Hey, you guys are.
Right.
You're not
Okay,
the
listen.
bastions you once
There's
were.
one PR. There's one PR group that I'm afraid of, and it's Rockstar's PR. So
Mhm.
I
I'm
whatever
so
she just
afraid
said,
Be careful.
I
Like-
denounce it. I denounce it. No.
I
The
love
power
their
of
stuff.
Christ. No.
Beat back into submission, though. You know, some people pay extra for that.
Yeah,
They
you're
do.
right, yeah.
Those are the
That
people
seems like
looking for
something a
Resident
Hauser
Evil
would be
8.
into. Yeah, for sure.
Our
But
pre-order
I've been
early.
playing Red Dead 2 online religiously, and I'm just like, they
Where's
lost
Undead
their
Nightmare?
way.
Hmm.
Undead Nightmare 2 is never coming. Never.
Say that.
We don't even get Halloween events really in GTA Online. It's never coming.
About Kojima, like real quick, I think that it is the kind of thing where it is just Microsoft's got money and PlayStation doesn't want to like pay those bills anymore, and it's almost that simple.
Mhm.
And I think it's going to be. I wonder what kind of game Kojima wants to make right now. And I don't necessarily know if it's going to be the kind of thing like, you know, Cog was bringing up, like Japan, maybe get them the foot in the door there. I don't know how much Microsoft believes like any game can do that, but let alone a Kojima game, which like Kojima always makes like worldwide appealing games. Like he made like kind of military espionage games, and those have global appeal. And so, but of course he's also popular in Japan. But I wonder how much Phil Spencer truly believes Japan will be buying Microsoft games of any kind. I think if there's any chance there will be Game Pass on the phone, and maybe that can help them there. I think maybe they have that in their heads. I'm still skeptical of that. But that doesn't mean that there's like you just say, okay, forget Japan. There's a lot of talented studios in Japan that can make games that, even if they're very Japanese, will be great additions to Game Pass and help build out that library and add something different. And there's a lot of people who really like Japanese games. And there's a lot of developers in Japan that don't want to go make mobile games. They want to keep making the games they've always made. And if you go to them and say, we'll give you a home on Game Pass, I think a lot of them will be receptive of that, especially if like you know, we see them. They're like they do this experiment with Outriders. Hey, you can put your game on day one on Outriders. Now do an experiment with Kojima. Say, hey, a big Japanese developer came to Microsoft, did a deal with them, released his game on Game Pass, and it did great. And you could have the same experience. I think it's something along those lines. But when I said that, like, Kojima was the focus of Microsoft's attempts to leverage Japanese talent in Japan, that was a careful way of wording me saying that Kojima is like the biggest thing that Microsoft is trying to get right now in Japan. And if you like start hearing rumors of something bigger than that, like trying to buy a publisher, that stuff is probably like maybe a conversation, but that's not really too serious at the moment. The most serious thing for them in Japan is Kojima. And then there might be some smaller stuff, but anything bigger than that is probably not quite like in the final stages or anywhere close at this moment. So
basically you're confirming that Microsoft is going to buy Square Enix.
Whoa.
Yeah,
hello. You heard it here, folks.
Yeah, there it is. In other words.
Again,
have Final Fantasy on Game Pass right now. Yeah.
I'll reference back to the Cogs episode we did last night. If there was to be any studio they bought, we went through the establishing of Dreamcast and the failure because now, even though the console failed, it is one of the most revered consoles of that like generation. If there was any to, right, 999.
Oh yeah, now, yeah. Talk it.
I'm gonna make y'all feel old. 1999 was my graduation from kindergarten.
Jesus,
that was my graduation from high school. Jesus.
1999 was the year I got my driver's license, and the day the Dreamcast came out, 9/9/99 was the year I crashed the 1980 Chevrolet Malibu that my great grand aunt gave me, and I'll never forget that. It was the day the Dreamcast came out, and I'm like, I was going too fast down a swervy road and sideswiped a fire hydrant. But yeah, that's what I was doing in 1999. You young bastard.
Y'all make me feel young. I appreciate y'all.
I didn't even understand my mathematics. I didn't even know how to write my name. I could barely go to the bathroom on my own. So yeah. But we were talking about that, and it's how like if there was any company to buy, and this is the going back in gaming history, is if you open a history textbook for 2 seconds or you watch a High Score on Netflix, you would understand these companies have histories spanning decades, not just Big Daddy Phil. They have decades, and Sega would be the company that they're so intertwined, like so intertwined.
Rand, I do want to get your thoughts about this too, man, because
the Kojima thing.
You gotta say,
yes,
the Kojima. All right.
How you doing, Rand? Tell us your thoughts about Big Daddy Kojima. No, he's not Kojima.
Big Daddy
Jeff Keighley's Big Daddy. Jeff
Whoa.
Keighley's Big Daddy.
You're gonna get us in trouble, Hugger.
I've made public how I feel about Jeff Keighley several times.
Oh, let's
Be
keep
nice.
going.
Be nice.
Ontario. I don't care.
This is nothing he's never heard from Kojima himself. Like, this is exactly how they talk to each other.
Jeff, don't contribute.
Don't encourage me because I won't
Don't
stop.
encourage
But
him.
yeah,
The
Rand,
Kojima
man
stuff
with
is
the
super.
voice.
The Kojima stuff is interesting, but almost kind of not in a way. Because where else is Kojima gonna go?
Yeah.
Right? For whatever reason, he doesn't want. And maybe Jeff, you know a little bit more than this. It seems to me that Kojima wants to work with a platform holder. Like he doesn't want to work with EA or Activision, right? So if Sony's not paying their bills because of how Death Stranding performed, and if Nintendo doesn't care, the only place he has left is Xbox.
Well,
and I'm sure
Google.
Well, he was going to go to Google, but we know how that turned out. So I wonder.
And it's not going to go to Amazon. It's going to get canceled before it comes out.
Right.
So I sort of wonder if like Microsoft is in their negotiations, if they're like know that fact and they're trying to like lowball them, like getting a little leverage on them. I still think would be big because that is like Cox said, you know, even though a lot of his games are multi-platform, he is someone that is very synonymous with PlayStation. A lot of PlayStation fans really like Death Stranding. So if you could trot out a Kojima reveal trailer for his game at E3 this year, when it's still the beginning of the generation. Nobody can buy consoles. They may not be able to buy consoles for the rest of the year. People haven't made their choice yet about what console they want to buy. If you were to come out at E3 with a CGI trailer or something of Kojima's next game and was like, hey, this is only going to be on Xbox, some people might be swayed. Or if you save that trailer for a VGA announcement at the end of the year with Jeff Keighley,
you see the vision. You see what I'm doing?
Yeah, you could do that. And
Jeff Keighley announcement would be so much. There's
so much, and then you know I was
right?
listening to the
No.
rumors that that ACG was saying about maybe the Metal Gear IP being up for sale and stuff like that,
Oh.
and kind of like, okay,
I think
you know,
we all can agree with like the man with the voice, our L'Oreal model. He giving us hair flips all day, and my resident snack attack. Konami does not give any shits about any of us. They're in Japan making money on their pachinko machines. They canceled Castlevania Chronicles. I want to say the game is. It was released in Japan and Canada, and they said no, we're gonna cancel it. Konami does not care. The news of the Silent Hills coming out, they're not gonna do it. If anybody's expecting a Resident Evil level, no, it's not. Konami does not care.
What's that?
We have to look. Nani? Opa?
Oh no, I thought you know I was going to tell Rand to continue when you were finished.
well, I was just gonna.
Oh,
There are rumors
Rand.
that Blue Point's making a Metal Gear remake. Someone's making a Silent Hill remake, so Konami's is in the business of licensing out their IPs. But
Yeah.
you know, if Kojima were to make a PT like inspired game on Xbox that everybody seemed to love from the the PlayStation 4, that could be a big win. And it's just another game in the slew of titles that Xbox will have, right? Because you have all the studios, as we mentioned. Then you got Jeff Grubb teasing these games in his articles, the typhoon emoji, and everybody's wondering what that is. And I've actually seen correct guesses, by the way. Like when I go on Reset Era, people have correctly guessed it and
I mean,
Rand,
you're
put that right
you're
now.
just saying it, Rand.
Let's go, Rand. He's ready to bring. He's sharp that fame.
Come on,
Get him.
Rand.
It's like a typhoon emoji.
the
You're
clue
just saying it, bro.
Give it to us.
I
mean,
shall not put that.
I'm not
pressure
saying
on
anything.
young
I'm not
Randall
saying
here.
anything.
You're not
because
saying
No,
anything.
no,
We're
no.
not.
It's too late. You can't back out
Let's
now.
go viral.
I mean,
fame.
if you listen to Xbox 2, Jez explained it. It's a typhoon emoji, and maybe the game might be revealed this year. Maybe it won't be. But there's so many more games in development that Xbox is they're spending money because they know they need to. So
The
Kojima
best-
would be a highlight. Like that would definitely, people on the internet would definitely be like, wow, that is a huge announcement.
Mhm.
I almost kind of wish, even though I was able to make videos on it, thanks to you, Jeff, that it was a surprise, because that would have surprised that literally people would have. But I think, you know what, Phil ruined the surprise because it was on his shelf.
I
It was literally
I would not have done it if he wasn't teasing it. So Phil has no one to blame but himself.
And you got to imagine that if he's teasing it, then he feels that the deal's,
I
probably
wonder.
in a good place.
I wonder about that. I wonder if he just does that because he feels like it's in a good place. I wonder if he does it because he can't help himself, or if he does it, it's like, hey, maybe get people talking. Maybe that helps us with leverage. I don't fully
Do you
get it.
think
How
he
that would
did
help.
it because he wants to kill the deal?
No. I feel like I feel that Phil does it whenever he puts something on his shelf. It's because he can't help himself because he's as giddy about this stuff as everyone else.
Excited.
He's excited and he just can't help himself. I think that's what it is.
All right. So then, Jeff, on this one, Nintendo Switch, Phil's shelf, Sarah Bond,
It's on
Nintendo
Sarah Bond's
Switch
shelf,
on
yeah.
the shelf. Something's going on with Nintendo and Microsoft.
Yeah.
I heard rumors that there was a deal signed between a
Look at Cock.
platform
He's shuffling
holder
shit
and
out of the
Xbox,
way.
but I don't know
He's-
any details. Like, is it really going to be something boring like Nintendo agrees to use the Azure backend for future stuff, kind of like how Sony did, or is this
Yeah.
going to end up in a
probably.
more exciting, like all of Game Pass's first party is on Switch in the future in some capacity?
That seems very unlikely to me still. And if it does happen, I think it's years away. I think it's going to be boring stuff that most people are not even going to like understand. Like, what is you're working together? It's going to be like Azure, and it's going to be like weird publishing like partnerships, maybe in different regions throughout the world or something like that. It's going like it'll be a relationship, and that could always turn into something more. But we're not gonna like wake up one day this year and find that we can play Halo streamed to our Switch on Game Pass. That's not gonna happen this year. No way.
Well, way to break our heart, Jeff.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good now. Yeah, this is what I came here to do. I feel like my job is complete here.
All right.
Are you-
Flip the hair.
I want to see
and
tears in
leave.
eyes. I want to see you crying. Yeah, let's go do this.
Listen,
My heart.
listen. I want to say, man, like this is one hell of a panel. Jeff, Cog, Rand, blessing us to coming on and talking with us and laughing for 2 hours of your night. You guys probably could have been playing Returnal. Well, one of you guys could have been playing Returnal, or putting out some dope merch, or teasing us with another dope video on YouTube. Man, you guys decided to come out and rock with us, and we really appreciate it. What we like to do at this point, I like to go around a panel, and I want you guys to give a suggestion for people who are watching. If you're watching, please do me a favor, hit that like button if you're still here. Go around the panel and give a suggestion on what you think someone should either play, watch. We're talking about games, movie, or anime. You can dive into your niche bag. It could be something new, but something that you think that someone should be checking out. And I do want to start with you, Lord Cognito.
Mm.
Yeah. Movie wise, I'm going keep it simple. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I love the last 2 episodes. Very impactful. It started off slow. I didn't like Baron Zemo in the club. But other than that, I wasn't about Baron Zemo in the club. That y'all gonna know that reference if y'all see it. But it is very important, and I like the direction they're going with the message on certain things. So for me, that was one. Video games, got to cap a little bit because I just had them on. But please, if you guys have either played Outer Worlds or haven't gone back to it in a while, download, get that Murder on Eridanos DLC. Yeah. It is hilarious. If you like whodunit style things, you know what I'm saying? The environment is fun. I mean, they pour their heart out in that DLC, and it's their best. So salute to the guys. If you finished it, go back, give it a shot. Murder on Eridanos is lit, man. Check out the devs. We just had them on the show. It was a blast. Obsidian, they in their bag, man. I'm very proud of them.
Okay, Dallas, what you got this week, brother?
Orange chicken.
Eating your fat ass like away.
But I love you.
So on the poll, I was gonna say Falcon and the Winter Soldier because I've been watching it and I've been really enjoying it. Yeah. But if you have been watching it, go ahead and watch Invincible. Yes, I know I said that, but I mean it twice. Okay. Also, I feel like it's something else that I'm missing that I've been watching. Oh, I haven't seen it yet, and I already know it's fire. We watched the first 7 minutes on YouTube. If you know what I'm talking about, Mortal Kombat. Friday, man. Friday, pull up to Mortal Kombat because I definitely will be. And I'm actually thinking about that same day doing like a little mini review or something. We'll see what's up. Depending on whether or not. Oh no, I mean like a peak game review.
Okay. I'm waiting on the next Funko review. I'm waiting on the next Funko review because it's been a while since the Funkos been.
That one is coming. Okay. I actually got something. I actually got like 3 different funny things, Funko things to do, and one of them is gonna be a kind of fire collab. So, that's coming super soon. Let's see. Also, play Resident Evil 7 in preparation for Resident Evil 8 because Resident Evil 7 is super super fire. I mean, it's like when I describe it to people, I always say if you play House of a Thousand Corpses in first person. And when you kill one of them, they don't die.
Yep.
It's that. And also one more in preparation for Near Replicant, play Near Automata. Okay. And if you just beat it once, you didn't beat it.
Too. We say Game Pass a lot tonight. My God, somebody talk to Phil for an endorsement.
We need that bag.
I need the bag.
Come on, Phil.
It's the wave of the future.
Floor hugger, my sister from another mister. What you got this week?
So what I'll do is I'll give my suggestions, and then when everybody gives their suggestions, there's some questions we got to read through before we end the show.
Yes.
But I will give, you guys know I like to give a movie, TV, whatever, and then 2 games, usually a AAA and an anime, or a AAA in a big studio. So for the big studio, I will give... No. Studio. How do you say studio?
You said AAA and a big studio. I'm like, did you mean AAA and say
aluminum?
Aluminium.
Aluminium.
Button, cotton, aluminium. Water.
Water.
You guys are just y'all are hating bitches. Anyway, for a AAA.
Why would I hate bitches? I love them. I love bitches.
Destiny 2,
get us in trouble
because the Guardian games are on right now in Destiny 2.
Guardian games is back.
Right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Cog is like, I'm about to risk it all. Yeah. The Destiny 2 has the Guardian games, so there's a lot to do. If you're like me, don't really play strikes and you don't really have a fire team, there's still stuff you can do in the PvE stuff.
Mhm.
For indie game, I'm gonna say play Spiritfarer because that's been my shizness for so long. There's fishing, there's management, you're gonna cry a little bit. I will admit, even if you're a grown ass man and you can't admit you have cried during a video game, you haven't played a video game, but you will cry during Spiritfarer. For movies, I'm with Dallas there. The Mortal Kombat Friday. I ain't got HBO Max, but I'm gonna watch it anyway.
I got
And
you.
for anime, The Way of the House Husband. It's on Netflix, or at least Canadian Netflix. It's a Yakuza that has gone to be a house husband, and it's hilarious. I think it was originally a manga. It's that. And we will get to the questions after everybody's given their suggestions.
The man with a million. You have anything you'd like to suggest for the people to play and or watch this week, sir?
Yeah, I've actually been watching a show. I started it over the weekend, and I'm almost done with it. It's 2 seasons. Second season's almost over. For All Mankind on Apple TV. I actually ended up really enjoying it. I think I watched the first season over the course of 2 days. It's about Soviets landing first on the moon instead of the U.S. and how that would change history. And so it's kind of an alternate history show.
A what if, almost.
A what if. And I'm really enjoying it. Like, the second season comes to an end on Friday, so I'm just kind of like waiting until then to finish the last couple episodes. But that's what I'm currently really enjoying on the TV side of things. Right now, I'm just kind of waiting for gaming wise. Like, I might try out Near Replicant this week. But I'm really super looking forward to playing Returnal, despite the fact I am not a fan of roguelites whatsoever.
Really? Same.
Yeah, I do not like roguelites. I haven't played Hades because I'm waiting for it to come to Xbox.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
Pick up a physical copy.
Hades is going to be the
because
thing
they're
that wins you
about to be
over.
like exclusive.
Yeah. Well, I would have played Hades on my Switch, but I was pretty much told that
What's it like to have a Switch? Yeah.
Exclusive? Wait, hold on. Did we get a red exclusive?
Wait, hold on.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm pretty confident Hades will make its way over to
Yeah, I
Xbox
mean,
this year.
there was no like
It has
agreement with
to.
Nintendo. It's
No.
just like they're a small studio. They focused on Nintendo, and they made a lot of money on Switch.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there was no rush.
For sure.
We can.
I probably
Uh,
would have played
as-
it on my PlayStation. Honestly, I just don't like the Switch. I don't know. I just don't.
Yeah,
I
you're a
don't turn
bad
it on
person, I
very
get
much.
it.
Do you
You know.
have a Switch though?
Of course, I got all the systems.
If I were to, as a Canadian, offer you some money for it, how much would you charge?
That's
$600.
what this is. That's what this is. Okay,
I was like,
she shooting a shot.
You don't like his Switch.
No,
How
I feel
much
bad
you
for
get
her
it for?
because the Switches in Canada are ridiculous. The pricing is
It's
astronomical.
a brand new
Really?
Switch that is just the base like stuff is like $600. I can't, and that's if I can find one.
That's crazy. Wow.
That's
You have to wait
I
for
like-
the Switch Pro later in the year, right?
Oh, that's what I'm waiting
Yeah.
for, baby. I can't.
Switch Pro.
oh, hello.
Like just how you waiting for your floors. That's how I'm waiting for a
Yeah.
Switch.
Floors when they coming in.
Mhm.
the
You
man,
know, call me up and I'll send my polar bears on them.
the man who
I
has
got
now
you.
forced me to play Sekiro for our extra live stream, Mr. Jeff
Ooh,
Grubb.
Jeff.
Any suggestions for people to watch and or play, good sir?
Yeah, I'm gonna be a buzzkill. I'm gonna suggest a book. Ask
Oh.
Iwata. It's not quite an autobiography. It's based on things that the former president of Nintendo before he died, things he said in like interviews, things he said in like
Ask
published
Iwata.
stuff from Nintendo, and they had an editor take all that stuff and present it as like a first person account of his ideas about game development and how he came up through Nintendo. And I just started reading it. My physical copy just came. It was on sale on Amazon for like $13, and it's very fascinating. It's very cool to like get insights from like one of the most beloved gaming executives to ever live. And I think it's a good. It'd be a good thing for my buddy Jim Ryan to read. I think. Like no shade. Like not really. Like just like there
Oh, there
is
you go,
stuff in
Kofi.
there when he talks about like the way he feels about games. If you could even fake that, it would go a really long way. I think. But it's been a really fascinating read. I really appreciate that. But there's an old show that I'm like a big fan of that no one ever watches. It was on Stars, so I don't blame you. It's called Counterpart. and it's about a world split in two, and there's like it's set in Berlin, and there's like this office on each side that has to like maintain this crossing, and it stars J.K. Simmons. It's like this really cool spy thriller stuff that deals with a lot of cool sci-fi ideas, but it's fantastic. I don't even know where it would be streaming, but if you could find it, it's called Counterpart. Definitely watch it. It's fantastic. And then
it's actually on Amazon Prime. It's in my watch
Wonderful.
list on Amazon because
Check
it
it out.
seemed pretty
That's
cool.
the next one. That's your next one right there. 2 seasons. It's fantastic though. It's really good. It's also like one of the worlds was wrecked by a pandemic, and this show was made before then, and it's like it's weird to like 'cause it was the same world and then it split off into 2. And when I first watched it, I watched it before the pandemic, and I'm like, this is our world, the world that is okay, with that has like iPhones and stuff. And then the other world is like the pandemic world, and I rewatched it again, and it's like, oh shit, no wait, never mind, we're the other world. It's like really fascinating. Yes, it's very very fascinating to watch it after like living through what we lived through. So I highly recommend it though.
Hey Jeff, what's the name of that book again?
Ask Awada.
Okay,
Ask Awada.
Got it right. I'm gonna see if I can get that. I want to read that.
You know, if anybody's listening, Hustle, I know you're awake right now. If you, I'm not asking you to, but if anybody wants to go back through, God, the last year of our podcast, because we try to give suggestions for everybody and wants to compile a list because Jeff, you are the only person. I've suggested books. I suggested my guilty pleasure Anthem. I suggested the comic books. I suggested the art books.
Talk about it.
You gotta go
I
way back.
suggest books all the time. But
You
if
know,
you guys
you know what?
wanna-
Here's don't even pay for them. Go to the library, get your library card, and download
I was
Hoopla.
just about to
Get the
say
Hoopla
that.
app.
Hoopla?
Get the Hoopla app. I just read like what you
Or
were talking about
Overdrive.
Invincible, Dallas, and it was like it's got the entire run of Invincible on there, and you can
And
just
that's
get it
an
for
amazing
free
book,
with
by
your
the way.
library card, and it's a great comic book.
Ah.
Yeah, the Hoopla app. Look into that.
Not
That's
only
that's my
that-
real recommendation.
Today.
Yeah.
Go to your library, and if you don't want to pay full price for a game, your library will have that
Yep.
game.
What?
Yeah, public
Honestly.
libraries. That's the shit
Yeah.
right there. Socialism.
Yeah.
Because
Hell yeah.
Trevor, who is my host of Cogs and Machine, he's been telling me about that. He goes to library and he'll like rent a day one, like Outer Worlds or Death Stranding.
I didn't know the library.
Your library will have it.
Yeah.
Dude, this
Yep.
is
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
money.
Yep.
And it's a
Public
week you get the
libraries.
rental for, at least here in
Wow.
Canada, it's a week.
So the library's like the new Blockbuster. That was
Yeah, no, for real.
No.
Yeah.
A library is not the new Blockbuster because they're not going to die because
They're not gonna charge you
Libraries
late
will
fees. Yeah,
just
not,
their
they'll charge you.
games.
It'll be 10-cent late fees. Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
no idea about any of this.
Baron,
And then even
Libraries, man.
Overdrive.
a
Overdrive is
library
another
has
Overdrive's another great. Yes,
so
audiobooks
Another
on
library
Overdrive.
app.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
fantastic.
audiobooks.
Yes.
You can
Let
get
me write this
audiobooks
down.
on Overdrive.
There are librarians
Yeah.
out there just doing the work, and
Yeah.
we get the benefit from this stuff.
Look
It's
at
awesome.
you.
Yep.
Learning stuff.
And if you're
Fabulous.
like me, that's kind of like region locked. I'm not telling you to do this because you do what you want to do. But Opera is a browser, and they have a built-in VPN.
Yes.
It's
just say
not
you're from
great.
America. Yeah.
But it's like it does its business. And
Canada's
if you
Netflix
guys-
is fire.
Canada apparently Canada's Netflix is. They'll be telling me Canada Netflix is that ish. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm looking at Canada's Netflix like it's expensive, but okay, whatever. But
Baron
if you
Jason-
guys just a library has the stuff you guys want for free.
Baron J, what you got this week, brother?
Recommend a couple of animes. Go check out Be the Beginning. I've been like slowly getting my wife to like really get into anime, and she loves like murder shows and stuff like that and serial killer dramas. So I try to find any psycho thriller anime out there I can find. And Be the Beginning is a really good one that I'd recommend. Season 2 actually just came out as well. And then
Baron, After
yes.
this, I gotta hit you up about that because I gotta show your wife is gonna fuck.
Whoa.
Freaking
Whoa!
love. HR didn't say it. HR didn't say it.
Whoa.
But hit me
Whoa!
up after this. I gotta show your wife is gonna love, and there's like 14 seasons that she can work through.
She got something your wife gonna love, apparently.
Look, yeah, it's
Wife,
Whoa,
Faith's
you know.
wife loves me. Your wife
This
is
is
gonna
true.
love me.
This
Okay.
is true.
got it. And then the next one is actually a boxing anime, right? But oh Lord, Jesus, Church of Christmas. Megalobox.
Opa.
Megalobox season
Heard of
2
that, yeah.
currently running. Go watch that one. It's a dope boxing anime.
Okay.
And it gets into the life of real fighters. Like
Is it like
it's
kind of
so
like
dope.
Baki?
No, it's not as over dramatic and to the extreme to that level. It's grounded in a weird way, even though they have some form of mini mech suits attached to their body.
Okay.
It deals more with the back end world and the psyche of boxers.
Oh, okay.
And it's really dope. Megalobox.
Okay.
Gaming wise, honestly, just boot up Game Pass on any platform you
Game
can
Pass.
and pick something and just throw a dart at it. Like right now I'm running Wasteland 3.
Oh,
And I mean I've been playing it on stream. I've been running it
And,
multiplayer. I've been running 2 different
It's a co-op.
worlds.
Didn't we
co-op,
have
okay.
one
It's
of the
co-op.
voice actors?
I gotta try co-op.
Yes, we did. Shout out to Cedric, man. Much love to you. We
Salute.
did have one of the voice actors on.
Salute.
Yeah, man, it's Game Pass. If you have an Xbox without Game Pass, it's kind of weird. Like I feel like you're not getting the full experience, and you're paying
missing
a lot
out.
of money.
It's like no matter what we talk about, we always end up back on.
Yeah, Game
Because-
Pass has been the theme. for this
It's
episode.
been a theme all night, dude. I swear. Like,
Yeah.
we keep
I mean,
going back.
L'Oreal,
August
Snack
2021.
Attack, and The Voice can agree. It's in this weird time we've come through. Is Game Pass is like the best. We're not trying to sell you anything. We're trying to sell you, hey, you want to play some games? Play this.
Yeah.
Or get this.
It's that simple.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Listen, I will say, we are 151 episodes in, and this is the longest episode we've ever had, and that's just because we got some super dope people here today, and you guys, you know, it's. I've seen people say with you three being out here like this is an all-star panel, and I mean you guys, you three are freaking amazing. I'm glad you guys got to rock out with us today. Hugger, was there anything in the chat that you saw that we needed to, maybe someone had a question on we may answer before we get out of here?
Yes, so we got a few comments, and thank you to those that put big emojis because like I said, I don't have my glasses on, I can't see. So
But you have,
this
never
was in
mind.
the no,
You got
these
shades
are
on.
non-prescriptions.
Oh, okay.
If I don't have my contacts on, I can't see a god dang thing. So if you see me get real close to the camera and get out of focus, it's because I can't see anything. So Beaner
Huh?
8127 says conspiracy theory is Sony doing two House Marquee with Returnal. Oh, this is written weird. Is Sony doing to House Marquee with Returnal what EA did to Respawn with Titanfall? A failed game makes the studio cheaper and more desperate for an acquisition.
Okay, I'll answer that one real quick. I don't think so. They're not that manipulative. Housemark, Sony could easily afford Housemark anyhow. If Sony does Housemark dirty like that, and Housemark wouldn't be stupid, they would know that they were being done dirty like that. They would just go to someone else. There would be like video game developers right now are worth a lot of money. Games are doing very well. If they want to sell, they'll be able to find a buyer, and they'll be able to find a buyer at a pretty high price, even if the game doesn't do great, because everyone's going to fully understand what happened there. And it's not like even the Titanfall that was what's Respawn, that wasn't like a desperation sale. They had other suitors. I think NetEase, or I can never remember which one. Nexon. I think Nexon was looking to buy them, and then EA's like, oh shit, we have to buy them, so Nexon doesn't. That's kind of how that went. So I get the conspiracy, but no.
Okay. Anybody else got a?
Just don't read no more from Beaner.
Yeah.
Leave that.
Well, no, I think they were at the beginning of the show.
We gotta leave that name out of there, bro.
Please.
Please.
Hold on. I can't see because I don't have my glasses.
By the way, yo, Canadian is showing.
What do you mean?
We'll talk later.
She looked down like, what are you talking about?
What do you mean?
Your Canadian is showing. That's all.
Game companies only have themselves to blame when unfinished games get released
True.
many times too prematurely.
I would say, for the most part, except for now, because it's kind of hard for everyone working remote in a way. But pre-pandemic, if a game came out broken, they had nobody to blame but themselves.
Nah. I don't think I said this last night. I don't think until 4 or 5 years from now we'll see the consequences of the pandemic. Like
No,
the
I
games
think
are
we can see it now.
we're like like Cyberpunk.
Wasn't
those games
Cyberpunk
were only
technically
QA
pre-pandemic?
testing.
Wasn't Cyberpunk pre-pandemic?
Cyberpunk was Cyberpunk was
Into last
2020.
year. Yeah, it was the end of
Yeah.
last year. So it got many delays before the pandemic. But yeah, I mean, yes, as soon as you go to work from home and stuff like that, they were working on that game up to the last minute. So that definitely was hit by the pandemic. Anything that's in active development, but like QA is also an issue. Like QA is very hard to do with work from home. That's why I think that's what's happening with Nintendo is like they got a lineup of games ready to go, and they are only QAing I think one of them at a time because that's all they can have the capacity for. So but it's going to continue to be an issue for sure.
I've done QA testing. I did QA testing this weekend for a game that's coming out recently. Well, but what we don't do, and anybody that's been in the podcast knows this is my section. We don't send death threats. We don't belittle the devs. We don't attack people. If we want to get angry at somebody, we go to the top guys, the CEOs and the developers.
Or you just don't buy it and move on with your lives.
There it is.
You're asking
What
people
a
to be responsible humans.
What a concept.
Yeah.
You're asking for people to be responsible.
And that's
Imagine being
Yeah, don't read my tweets and just leave me alone. That
Oh, they won't do that.
Oh,
You're
Jeff,
too handsome for that.
Listen, Jeff, there's nothing that you can't say on Twitter that won't start a fire. Like I envy and feel bad for you at the same time. So I'm like, man, this man can't breathe without people coming for him.
Hey, at least people cite Jeff properly. On my podcast, if I say something, it's just Corden says in his podcast, Xbox Studio.
Oh, of course that happens. Yeah. Man.
It's never me. I'm a nobody even on my own podcast, on my own YouTube channel.
Well, it's because you don't show your face, so people don't know how
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not respectable. I don't write for Windows Central or VentureBeat or any of these big outlets.
Doesn't mean you're respectable.
I'm just a lowly YouTuber, you know. I can just make stuff up if I want, which I don't know why you want to, because nobody would believe
that means
you.
You're
but
good at video games because you're not a games journalist. So you got that going for you at least. I'm still trying to get over that jump in Cuphead.
Jeff is friends with the guy who struggled at Cuphead. But listen, Rand, you cannot devalue yourself because you are about to hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Right.
Do not devalue yourself because we come to you a lot.
Rand, do I need to be in your DMs every week, just being like, "Hey"?
Yes. No, it's just
because I'll be like, "Hey, how are you doing? You worth it, baby." I'll be an old black woman. Hi, are you good, baby?
Sugar. Okay. You alright, Sugar?
You alright, Sugar? You need that.
Listen, hug us.
Yeah, I need some positive reinforcement. Cognito's always being like,
for that.
Cognito's always down. You know, he's just like, come on.
The fact that we got a Hooyah out of Jeff Grubb is a highlight.
Oh, I need that. Send that to me in my DMs.
I didn't realize how bad I needed that. Yeah.
So another one, Wellington Nascimento. Jeff, are we going to see new Microsoft Studios at E3, or are we going to take a break for now? I think this is when we were talking about stuff with E3.
I don't know yet. These things are still pretty early. I mean, I know E3 is coming up fast, but they haven't solidified everything yet. They're still having meetings. All these companies are. I think we'll hear pretty soon if something like that could happen. My guess is if in terms of big studios, who's out there that they could buy right now that's actually realistic? Maybe some small stuff. Maybe my gut tells me like with Phil, still has that bug up his ass about Japan. Maybe he starts a Japanese studio, spends money to start one up, something like that. But nothing that I've heard for sure yet. We'll know more in a few weeks, and if I feel like it's worthy of reporting, I will. If not, we'll just wait and see. We'll all be surprised. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Salute.
Any more
from Quick Lure, do y'all think we're gonna get a Bloodborne update this year?
Like a PS5 4K 60 FPS update that everyone's been clamoring
Just said
for?
any Bloodborne update.
Hope so.
I hope so. I think that is the kind of thing where it's like do they need to get From to work on that directly? Is that something that they can have another studio do? And if it's not, then we don't get it this year. If they need From to come in there and like touch that stuff up, like first person, no, it's not going to happen. Maybe not at all. But I hope it does, and I think that would probably be early next year.
I could definitely see another. If it was to come to PC, I could definitely see it wouldn't be From Fortnite.
I got a question for Jeff really quickly. What do you think is the next Sony game to head to PC after Days Gone?
Oh.
No. Man, I would hope it's Bloodborne. I would hope that I think it probably is Bloodborne. And I think if that's the case, then maybe that it does happen later this year. Maybe at the same time it gets that PS5 update. But I also like there's something about me that I think like Ghost of Tsushima is going to come like pretty fast. Like, and maybe not like this year, and probably not the next one. But I wouldn't be surprised if the one after that is like Ghost of Tsushima.
I was thinking God of War.
God of War 2018.
Might be depending on when Ragnarok is. Because there's no way Ragnarok's coming out this year. There's like no way.
No way. No. Yeah, totally.
No.
And I think Horizon was Horizon confirmed to be pushed back as well. I know at one point.
No, they haven't confirmed.
I think they said
officially.
I heard that Horizon is their Halo Infinite, meaning they got a lot of people on it from other studios trying to get Horizon out for this fall. Yeah. I don't know if that's true. It's just rumors I've heard, but I think Sony's trying their hardest to get that game out by November.
And it's funny, if you're in like my sections, I'm a concept artist. If you're in those, you're like, hey, we are going to kind of push things back. So you've heard some of the stuff. And they're like Brand said, they're trying to push it out, but I don't think they're gonna make it a quality product.
Hey, Hook, let's get one more if you got it.
I don't, because people are now that we brought up the library stuff, people are like flooding the library.
I saw that. People like
shocked from your library.
I was shocked about the library.
I got you with the apps. Overdrive and Hoopla, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Overdrive and
Hoopla. And get a library card.
Yes.
If you guys have any suggestions in the next minute, put them in there with a emoji. I will read them out for you guys. But we're almost at the end of the show, and God, I don't want to end because Jeff and Rand and Cog. Oh my God.
I gotta go put these kids to bed. So let's do this.
I got food. I got get.
Right.
Yeah, I got dinner.
Big boy, we got eat.
Before we get up out of here, Mondays we do 15 minutes of fame. Tuesday, Cogs in the Machine. Wednesday, Double XP Podcast. Thursday is Take Two. Friday is Peep Game. Saturday is Ready Press Play. And on Sunday we rest. It's the Lord's Day. Make sure you go watch the Iron Lords podcast. I promise you guys, if you never heard that before, I'm not saying that because Cog is here. I literally say that every single Wednesday.
Yeah, you do.
I say that every single Wednesday. Listen, with all of that said, congratulations. You guys are leveled up to 151. This is the Double XP podcast. Be sure to get your game news from level1gaming.com. We will see you guys next week. Have a great night.
사랑해. 안녕.